Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Salinas City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, August 6th, 2024. We are starting a little early today because it's National Night Out, so we appreciate those that have joined us today at 3 o'clock. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Barrera, would you lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, City Clerk.
Councilmember Barrera.
Here.
Councilmember Gonzalez. Councilmember Osornio. Councilmember Rocha.
Here.
Councilmember Sandoval.
Here.
Councilmember Valenzuela.
Present.
Mayor Craig.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gonzalez has a personal matter. She won't be attending today, and Councilmember Osornio has informed us he's running a few minutes late, but will be here shortly. With that, we will go on to public comments. If you wish to make a general public comment or comment on a specific agenda item, you're encouraged to attend the City Council meeting in person. Public comments may be submitted via email at publiccomment.ci.salinas.ca.us and will be entered into the record. Public comments generally are limited to 2 minutes per speaker. I may further limit the time for public comments depending on the agenda schedule. With that, we'll go ahead and welcome all of you for public comment.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. It's nice that we had a little bit of time off. I'm sure you feel that way. I'd like to open up with a prayer for the room. Everybody can join in. It is the Lord's Prayer, and I'd like to pray this over the City Council and over this meeting. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. I would also like to invite each of you, City Council members, to Walk for Jesus. Everyone in the room, actually, and everybody out there in Zoom land. Walk for Jesus is on August 31st at Natividad Creek Park. Anthony and I have had a conversation about this as it is in his district. It will be at noon, August 31st, Natividad Creek Park. We will walk all of Constitution Boulevard down to Natividad and back. It should be maybe a 2-hour event. We would love to see you there. I do have some flyers out in the vestibule, and I have more that can be handed out to you. There is English and Spanish on both sides. It is a non-denominational Body of Christ event. No specific church involved. It is just the Body of Christ. So I welcome you to attend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Doug McFarland. My teammates and I live in Salinas, and we're all volunteers, not spokespersons, with United Sovereign Americans, also known as USA. Together, we're going to read you our closest elected representatives, an analysis of the 2022 election done by highly qualified teams using only official data provided by California election officials, and a summary of the USA resolution with our findings, the laws that apply, and a call to end inaccurate and uncertain elections. We're not here to overturn any election, but it's clear that the votes cast, counted, and certified may not all be valid and accurate under the Constitution and federal law. To summarize the resolution, it's the civil right of every citizen to have fair, accurate, and legally valid elections in which our vote is not debased, diluted, or manipulated. It's the duty of our representatives to guarantee that our elections meet that standard. Our constitutional system of representative government only works when the following 4 tenets of an election are upheld. 1, voter rolls must be accurate, National Voter Registration Act 1993. 2, votes counted must be from eligible voters, U.S. Constitution 14th Amendment, Section 2. 3, the number of votes counted must equal the number of voters who voted. 4, there can be no more than 1 in 125,000 ballots in error by the voting system. Help America Vote Act 2002. The analysis of the California 2022 general election has uncovered evidence of massive inaccuracies that appear to violate both federal and state laws, including the following: over 5,886,000 ineligible or uncertain registration violations found within the California State Voter Roll database, over 2,776,000 votes cast by ineligible or uncertain registrations, over 123,000 more votes counted than voters who voted. No one knows who cast them. Over 2,776,000 apparent voting violations in excess of the legal standard of system accuracy for a valid federal election. Maximum allowable errors under law is 90.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up.
Thank you.
If you'd like to turn it in, City Clerk will accept your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. I'm Frank Troya, and thank you for your service. I live here in Salinas. So where Doug left off, certification attests to an election's accuracy and compliance as defined by law. And the intent of the voters must be known factually before certification can be lawfully conducted. The certification of the 2022 election appears to have been fraudulent and illegal, trampling the legal requirements for the voting system accuracy in a federal election. The 2022 general election appears to have been invalid, depriving us of our natural rights under a government provably chosen by the American people, resulting in immeasurable damages to our family and our country. To prevent future violations of our civil rights to fair, accurate, and legally valid elections, we call for specific remedies, including the following. 1, proof of citizenship, identity, eligibility, no anonymous attestation. Voter rolls. 2, voter rolls certified accurate and available for public review 30 days before the start of early voting. Voters added after that date must bring proof of citizenship, identity, and address in person to the polling place. 3, hand-marked secure ballots similar to currency, where imaging technology is used for tabulation. The security features must be verifiable in the ballot image. 4, the systems, machines, security measures, and infrastructure and conduct are required to be compliant with federal law for fraud prevention and risk assessment, certification, testing, and implementation. Adjudication must be signed off by party, candidate, and trained citizen witness with full observation rights. Candidates and trained citizens must have immediate access to ballots and ballot images and cast vote records. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hi, Marilyn Gibbons, continuing the USA presentation. Item number 6, ballots, regardless of entry source, election operations, and systems, must maintain end-to-end chain of custody from voter to vote count to final canvass, including auditability and witness transfer with paper records. 7, an NIST-compliant, randomized, statistically valid end-to-end audit with a 95% confidence level pursuant to the 14th Amendment, Section 2, must be performed by qualified, insured, and bonded auditors, not personnel from within the election system. Reconciliation includes the vote count, real physical ballots, adjudication, cast vote records, ballot count, qualified voter count, custody transfer, and all other paper and electronic election systems, including logs. If the total of unique variances is above is more than 10% of the margin of victory, a new election must be held for those candidates affected unless the issues can be provably corrected by a manual hand recount and a full review of records. 9, waiver of requirements is not allowed. Only end-to-end system compliance can guarantee the intent of the people is accurately recorded. In closing, we will present the city clerk with a written copy of the full USA resolution. Please show your support for accurate and legal elections by signing it and adding a vote for the resolution to the agenda for the next council meeting. For more information, please visit the USA website at unite4freedom.com. That's uniteforfreedom.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Katie Bassler. I'm an educator in Salinas. I'm the president of the Salinas Valley Federation of Teachers. I'm also heavily involved with controlling the cost of health care. There was an article discussing the arrival of Kaiser to Monterey County and how excited leadership was for Kaiser's arrival. Monterey County has some of the most expensive health care in California and in the nation, primarily due to the rates that are charged by the 3 hospitals. Recognize that Kaiser is not the solution. Kaiser does not serve Medi-Cal patients nor Medicare patients. So who will Kaiser serve? I'm here to invite the leadership to attend the August 28th Office of Healthcare Affordability Board. They've been meeting in Sacramento, and through our pressure, they're coming and holding their meeting in Seaside beginning at 9 o'clock. You can look at Office of Healthcare Affordability website for more information. There will be many activists there expressing their concerns with the cost of health care. Kaiser may help some, but it is not going to help everyone in Salinas, and the City Council should recognize that. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes, concejales y alcaldesa. Mi nombre es Nidia Soto. Trabajo con Construyendo Comunidades Saludables, la escuelita, lo cual nos guiamos por enfatizar en la necesidad de vivienda que hay actualmente. Creemos que vivienda es un derecho humano y proporciona estabilidad y seguridad a nuestras vidas, el tener una vivienda. Cada día trabajamos arduamente para construir poder comunitario, para que nuestra comunidad comparta sus experiencias vividas de la alta falta de vivienda. El tema de poder pagar una vivienda o un techo y vivir con dignidad. Si tenemos vivienda, podemos contribuir con la educación, contribuir con una economía y tener mejor salud mental. De lo contrario, todos somos impactados negativamente por tener que contar centavo por centavo de los ingresos que actualmente estamos ganando y vivir con temor de no poder pagar un alquiler. Agradecemos el gran trabajo a la ciudad, al abogado de la ciudad y al Departamento de Desarrollo Comunitario, el cual hizo posible la Junta, la reunión pasada, para poder proporcionar el segundo borrador de esta ordenanza, y les pedimos al concilio que voten por un 2%, lo cual asegurará que muchas familias aquí en Salinas puedan pagar un techo individualmente y dejar de vivir con muchas familias diferentes. Gracias.
Good afternoon, members of City Council, Mayor. My name is Nidia Soto, and I work with Building Health in Communities and La Escuelita. And I am here because I want to highlight the need of housing. It is a human right, and this gives us stability in our life. It allows us to be able to have a decent job, community power, and it also helps us have a more stable life. The lack of housing does not allow us to contribute with dignity to education, the economy, and mental health. It does not let us live freely. We have to count cent by cent all our earnings. It makes us live in fear because we can't pay the high costs of rent. But I want to thank you for all the work that the City Council has done. I want to thank the lawyer of the City Council. I also want to thank the Department of Community Development for the event that we had not long ago, where we reviewed the second draft. And I want to highlight the fact that we should approve 2%. And we're asking the council to approve 2% because that is going to allow a lot of families to be able to pay for a roof over their head and not have to live in overcrowded situations. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hi. My name is Andrea, and on June 21st, I called 911 asking for a 5150 for my son, Cole, who was in a complete psychosis. He has a traumatic brain injury and is perversely learning delayed since birth, which I told 911 and SPD. When police arrived, I was outside. Cole was walking down our street in the same direction. Police approached, and he kept walking. A taser was pulled on him. He freaked. He held up his hands. Officers grabbed his arms, and he went into panic mode. I called 911 because he was having the worst psychotic episode that I had ever seen. I told them he's scared and he wasn't himself. Officers took my son down, which is when he started reacting as one would expect from someone in psychosis. Officers got on top of him. He flailed his arms and legs. After what felt like a lifetime, they cuffed him and put a strap on his feet. I pleaded, please take him to the hospital. Instead, they asked me to move away because I was making it worse. A fire truck came and left, an ambulance came and left. It made no sense. When I was allowed to talk to him, I was warned that he was bleeding. When I saw him, I was shocked. He had blood running down his face from a wound on his head. Still thick in psychosis, with officers present, I spoke to him as if he was possessed and saying things that I've never heard from him before. He had pinpoint eyes and was staring through me, his head on the window getting blood smeared everywhere. He got no help for the reason I called. I am a board member for NAMI. I also speak at CIT trainings. I thought I was doing the right thing. He's being charged with felony resisting because I asked for a 5150. This city has failed him. My son isn't homeless. He isn't a drug addict. He comes from a good home and a good family. Trust me when I say you don't understand. With all your experience, with all your knowledge, you do not understand. Listen to me and hear what I'm saying. I've been doing this for 23 years. And I will tell you what I told the chief of police, Mr. Murray back here. All this has done is ensure that I will never call the Salinas Police again when my son is in crisis. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Members of council, mayor, staff, I'm Steve McDougall. I'm a member of the Salinas Valley Federation of Teachers and president of CFT's Early Childhood through 12th Grade Division Council of Local Unions. CFT is a union of educators and classified professionals. Staff has recommended to you to approve the tentative map for Stonebridge Homes.
Sir, we're in general public comment right now.
Yeah.
You'll need to hold your comments until we get to that item on the agenda.
Is that how we do that here?
Yeah.
Oh, we do it different at the high school district.
Sorry about that.
So that's
General
coming up
public
later on?
comment are items
What,
not on
sometime
today.
before midnight?
Yes.
Okay,
We're
thanks.
starting at 4.
All right.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon. Name is Eric Peterson. Welcome back. And before your break, you had some speakers complaining about what they claimed was a lack of transparency. And just for the record, I have never had a bit of problems getting information out of the city of Salinas. What I'd like to suggest to try to get away from that is they were making suggestions, and I'm sure they were sincere suggestions, like how to get city council reports, and the city needs its own TV channel and stuff. It would be really nice if Salinas would do as many other communities do and respond to some speakers when appropriate and tell them there's the Salinas channel and tell them how to get the reports online. And it's done elsewhere quite successfully. Nobody gets blown up or anything. It's done at Board of Supervisors. And it would be, it might diffuse a lot of problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Wes White, Salinas Monterey County Homeless Union Co-President. Checking in today to tell you about what happened with the Coalition of Homeless Service Providers. During that meeting, there was a consensus. City of Salinas actually wasn't there, but there was consensus that basically sweeps are the anti-solution. And that's between one of your main service providers here in Salinas, Dorothy's Place, as well as the County of Monterey. So I would hope, you know, I totally berate you guys all the time, but in the same instance, you could be world-class leaders at this point if you were to collaborate with the people who want to collaborate with you, especially concerning the people they're servicing. So, you know, man, We need to change the addiction and the mental illness of doing a sweep. I actually put out an email asking for a meeting with city manager, city attorney, parks, police, I don't care, but recorded, you know, and let's ask some answers, you know. I mean, let's do it. Let's put it on the air. Let's put you on record. I've not gotten an email back. So, I mean, do you really want to get at the truth? Do you really want to get at solutions, or just pushing people away, getting rid of them? Is that the way we do business here? Because that's already the federal and the state have already abdicated their responsibilities to you, the jurisdictions here locally. There is an opportunity that you know, every jurisdiction could just keep their own residents and not shove them into just county lines, which of course is the county's major concern is what about me, not about anybody else, because you're not a public service, you're more of a business corporation. And that needs to change, the whole heart mindset, you know. I mean, you have an opportunity to be community-minded, community-focused, if you choose to actually take the path. But that requires stopping the sweeps, allowing people on an address to be 24/7, 365. And until you do that, running water, electricity, remember shelter in place. Oh my God, you might kill me, stay away from me. That was the only time you had a heart and humanity. Stop the sweeps.
Thank you. Anyone else for general public comment on items not on today's agenda? All right, we'll go to Zoom. Does any member of the public on Zoom wish to comment on items not on today's agenda? We have Elizabeth Lopez. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mayor Craig. Good afternoon, City Council members. I want to first of all just thank you. Thank you for being in office. Thank you for doing your job. Thank you for listening. I also want to talk about safety, the safety of our kids. As City Council members, every single day that you're in office, you have an opportunity to make a huge impact on the safety of our kids. When we're talking about housing, yes, housing is important, but along with housing comes traffic, comes safe routes to school. We need to consider what we are promoting. I live on Los Palos Street, and we have so much traffic that goes on from Abbott to Los Palos. I've almost been hit while walking within the crosswalk several times. I may not be here the next meeting. I know that in Salinas, a child was killed, a 3-year-old, crossing within the crosswalk. This cannot happen. This has to be a priority. Safety has to be a priority. Our kids crossing the streets legally has to be a priority. If we include housing, then we need to reevaluate safe streets, safe routes to school. Again, I commend you for your work and thank you for listening. But safety has to be a #1 priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public on Zoom wish to comment? If so, please use the raise hand function. All right, seeing no further public comments on Zoom, we will go to our first item of business. I should make the announcement, our public hearing item ID 24-401, the American Rescue Plan Act projects update has been continued to September. And our public hearings will begin at 4 p.m. and no earlier. So we will adjust the agenda as needed. So I would give council members a heads up. I may be going to council member comments early, just in the interest of being efficient with our time. With that, we will go on to our first item. We have City Council consent agenda. There are 17 items on consent. Would any council member like to pull an item for separate vote or discussion? I'll go to my left. Councilmember Valenzuela?
No.
Councilmember Rocha? Councilmember Sandoval? Uh-oh, okay. Councilmember Barrera?
No.
Okay. I think that's a first for the whole time I've been mayor. We'll go out to the public. I assume I'll ask Councilmember Osornio when he gets back. Out to the public, any member of the public wish to comment on items on today's consent?
24-412.
Okay. All right. Anything further from the public? All right, council member, or excuse me, I'll go to Zoom. Does any member of the public on Zoom wish to pull an item for public comment on the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public, not public comment, but pulling an item for consent. Councilmember Osornio, any items pulled?
No.
All right, I'll seek a motion to approve the items.
Second.
A motion made by Councilmember Barrera, seconded by Councilmember Osornio on the remaining items, which are 438, 448, 398, 399, 403, 413, 414, 415, 417, 419, 422, 428, 432, 435, 437, and 440. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Rocha?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Yes.
Councilmember Valenzuela?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. And we have a member of the public who has pulled ID 412, Amendment Number 4 to the Professional Services Agreement with Wallace Group.
Hi, I'm
Welcome.
David Masonev. How are you guys doing? I hope you had a great time off. This actually, I just pulled the one, but the one above it, 403, I know you already voted on it, but same idea. I'm not sure I'm reading this right, but it says $47,750. And I'm guessing that's for a survey or some kind of research? I'm not exactly sure. I was reading through it and I just didn't quite catch it. So if it is for research, my question is, how much do we spend on research in this city? I'm looking at a lot of different things in here and it seems like we spend a lot of money on surveys. So anyway, I don't know if that pertained to that or not, but I wanted to kind of get that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll seek a motion to approve 412.
Second.
A motion made by Councilmember Barrera, seconded by Councilmember Osornio. Call for the vote on 412, please.
Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Rocha?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Yes.
Councilmember Valenzuela?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. All right. Well, we cruised through the consent agenda, and it is 3:25, so I'm going to go to councilmember reports and appointments, and I will start to my left with Councilmember Valenzuela.
So nothing major to report. Just been continuing to meet with the constituents in the district, hearing a lot, especially about traffic calming. So that's definitely an issue that we want to bring back. But other than that, no committee meetings.
Okay. Councilmember Rocha.
Thank you. I attended the Monterey Wind Water Board meeting, and it was a very robust discussion on developing an agreement that would allow the city of Salinas to get rid of water that we have in our ponds that we need to get rid of now that we're in more of a wet season for us. And the conversation was really structured around the fees that the city would have to pay and the fees that Monterey Wind Water would have to pay. Through that conversation, we were able to develop, for this 90-day period, a compromise in which the city of Salinas will pay the interruptible treatment fees if the water is going to go to outfall. If the water is going to be used by another user, then that user would pay the interruptible treatment fee. And it was important to develop some sort of a common ground in how we would do this cost-sharing agreement. But that's going to be for the interim, the 90-day period. We still need to develop a long-term agreement with how we negotiate those costs moving forward. I know that the city manager has had conversations with the general manager from Monterey Wind Water, and I look forward to making progress on that end, but I did want to share that update to the council on that discussion at the board meeting. I also attended the Downtown Streets Team 5-year anniversary, providing services to the city of Salinas. It was great to see everyone there celebrating the incredible work of that organization, who not only engages unhoused community members in beautification initiatives in the city, but also provides support in case management for securing employment as well. I also was able to attend the Youth Navigation Center Safe Place Salinas grand opening for Community Human Services, which I've been a board member throughout my time on council for that organization. Great turnout, and I was joined by Councilmember Sandoval at that event as well. Coming up, I have a board of directors meeting for the Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority, and I'll provide a report after that meeting. That's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sandoval.
Well, thank you. I spoke to a business park owner in District 5 off of Monroe who requested a call from our department director or somebody in our city staff. Have been working through some issues with our planning department. Would like to try to find a resolution to that. I also received a phone call from the building trades asking for an update on Amazon or what stage we're in with that or how that's progressing. I'm looking forward to our community meeting to discuss the Laurel Wood Park coming up at the end of this month at Camden Elementary School. More details to follow. And I'm looking forward to our Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority meeting. And just as a reminder, I know we got a lot on our plate, but we had requested a discussion about moving our city council meetings to a later time to allow the public better access to be able to attend, as 4 o'clock is not always the most convenient time for a lot of our residents. That's all for me. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Pereira.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, I'm going to request if at the end of our meeting, if we can have a moment of silence for the 2-year-old little boy that was killed, the father that was injured, and that we can hold the family in prayer. It's a heavy thing, and if we can also think about the family of the young man that was involved, that must be a scary situation. It's easy to judge others, but let's just hold them a moment of silence. I will request that. Also, I want to thank Mr. Jim Pia and some of the staff as well. Carr Lake fence is up. It looks, if you want to go to Carr Lake, go take some pictures. You'd think you're up in the mountains in Tahoe. It looks beautiful. That lake looks beautiful. A word of caution, and I shared this with our esteemed city manager. When the winter gets here, people start looking for firewood. And that's redwood. That's the best firewood you got. So we have to figure out a plan. It's getting too expensive to be fixing. But Carr Lake looks beautiful. Thank you for that. Also, thank you to Ms. Kristen Lundquist. We just got note today that Cesar Chavez Library sign is coming up at the end of the month. But we're going to celebrate on that one. So thank you for that. This morning, I joined the Alisal Union School District board members on a convocation. It was fantastic to see all these educators get ready for the first day of school tomorrow. You know what was fantastic? One of the trustees had asked how many of the teachers have been to the elementary schools there. A lot of hands went up. Can you imagine that? That children that went to those schools are now the educators. It's fantastic. Alisal Strong, they call it. So I want to thank them for that. A lot of, I believe there was 34 new teachers today. To the police department, thank you. You know, being involved with the police department is not an easy task, but you've been doing a hell of a great job of arresting people that don't want to be members of society. They just want to cause problems, and I want to thank you to the police department for your diligence on protecting the city of Salinas. Thank you for that. And next Tuesday, I'm going to have a great meeting. If you folks want to join me, it'll be at the Montebella community meeting. Going to be fun. So looking forward to that. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Sarnio.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to give a shout out to Salinas Valley Charros in being able to partake in their rodeo festivities. It's man, that parade that the rodeo puts on is absolutely awesome. My daughter loves being in any parade for that matter, so it was a good time. Just wanted to say thank you and shout out to them. Also wanted to congratulate the folks out in Chinatown, the Obon Festival that took place over at the Buddhist temple. It was great. A lot of cultural celebrating going on there. And it's I know that they're coming up to their 100th anniversary. So hopefully maybe we can get a either proclamation set up for those folks out there and be able to help celebrate that. I believe that's in October or November. I'll get the details and then I'll send them into staff. The other thing was the groundbreaking for the Fremont Elementary School. I got to go out there. I know go out there for Tony, and that's in his district, but same thing there is there's just this pride of folks that are out there thinking about the measure that was passed to be able to do the Alisal School, and then to be able to do Fremont, and the bonds that were passed. Really, it was an investment from the people really buying into making sure that education is at the forefront for their children. So it's awesome just seeing all of the great projects that are going on there. But congratulations to them. I did have an opportunity to meet with folks from the Welcome Center over at the Heritage Plaza. If folks haven't had a chance to go out there, it's really great to be able to see some of the history that they speak about. I know that they're going to be putting other parts of Salinas history and things like that. They're going to be adding to the Welcome Center, but some of the things that I never knew about, I got a chance to learn there. So obviously. Congratulations to them on that. But just wanted to highlight some of the sidewalk repair. I for my work, I drive around the city of Salinas quite a bit, but I think it's just incredible to see a lot of the sidewalk repair that's being done. Obviously, when I was first elected in 2020, we talked about a 30-year wait period to be able to get somebody's sidewalk repaired. And so I think it's, while we know that there's still tons of work to do, I think that there's also an opportunity just to kind of celebrate that we're seeing a lot of sidewalk repair. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw one side of Rossi from North Main Street all the way to Abbott get done. But then construction has just begun on the other side. So both sides of that really long street are getting taken care of. And I think while a lot of us obviously advocate for the districts that we represent, I think it's awesome to see a lot of this sidewalk happening just throughout the city in general, which I think is much needed. So just wanted to say, thank you for this body of prioritizing those things. So thank you. And no further comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I attended the 114th annual rodeo. Just wanted to acknowledge that is the city's largest event for the community, 5-day festival. Friday night was completely sold out, and just a remarkable showing of not only residents, but people who come in from outside of the community. They were so thrilled that we had cool, crisp weather when a lot of them were coming from the Central Valley, where it was 3 digits and very uncomfortable. So just a great opportunity for folks from out of the area to come visit Salinas and to participate in a fantastic show that generates revenue for our community. So very excited to have participated there. I do want to acknowledge Northridge Mall turned 50. I was unable to attend. I was out of town, but I understand we had council members that did go, so thank you. It's just another opportunity to point out a massive economic generator for our community. A lot of communities, malls are not doing so well, and Northridge is thriving. So very excited about that. I also want to say thank you to Compass Church for their 4th of July extravaganza that was just remarkable. 11,000 people for a free event. The city of Salinas contributed, I think it was $15,000 towards the $200,000 extravaganza. That church raised that money for this community, and it was a really great event. So hopefully they'll continue to do it because it's a great asset for our community. Youth in Government Institute has graduated. We had a group of high schoolers through City Hall who learned about local government, including public works, legal, administration, police, fire, libraries, and then they put on a mock city council meeting for graduation. And so they handled the crazy dog lady who wanted $8 million reallocated for dog parks in public comment. So great job to the kids that really care and want to learn more about how local government operates. Salinas Valley Food and Wine was this past weekend. I'm told that it was a really great event as well. No issues, and certainly an opportunity for the city, and very grateful to the volunteers that put it on every year. I attended the Hitchcock Road Animal Services meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I just want to take a moment to make the council aware that Hitchcock Road's really trying to grasp being a countywide JPA. So part of the issue that we are currently managing is greater visibility in the Salinas Valley and down into South County, with a little bit of a rumor that the SPCA is doing the same thing. So there's I'm encouraging the discussion between Hitchcock Road and the SPCA to make sure that, one, we're not duplicating services, or two, there's an opportunity for us to work together on it. So just an update there. And that is it for me, and it is 3:40, so we're going to go ahead because we are obligated to do our public hearings at 4 o'clock. I'm going to adjourn this meeting for 20 minutes, and we will reopen the meeting at 4 p.m. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We zoomed through the first part of our council meeting. We are now back in session at 4 o'clock for our public hearings, and we will start with 24-427, the tentative map, 2021-001, the request to subdivide an existing 189.27 acre lot into 427 single-family and multifamily residential lots with an additional 10 park, open space, and public, semi-public lots, 437 total, in a portion of the Central Area Specific Plan. And we have Courtney Grossman, our planning manager, here to give the report. Hi, welcome. Make sure that you have your microphone on.
Is there a button?
Try it again.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You don't have an on-off button. We just turned you on. Go ahead. Testing.
I'm missing something. Is it working now?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Craig, members of the council. Thank you for that lengthy introduction of the project description for the tentative map. So this tentative map is one of the first implementing stages of the development of the future growth area. On the map in front of you, shown in color, which we'll show in a larger map here in a few seconds, this is a request to take a 189-acre portion of the Central Area Specific Plan, which is a part of the FGA, and subdivide it into approximately 427 residential lots and a couple lots for open space and schools. It will take place over probably several years. Exactly how many, we don't know, but it's in 6 phases, and about 1,674 dwelling units are expected out of this development. This slide is more of a blow-up of the central area. Remember, on the left side is the western area, what we call the West Area Specific Plan. The right side is the East Side Specific Plan. our future growth area, rather. This project is bounded more or less in the center. It's shown more or less in a black outline. I don't know if I can do that. Here I am, right there. So this is the boundary of this map. So it's not the whole central area. It's just a portion of the central area. The project site is obviously north of Bronda Road. There's the address. It includes a number of zoning districts. In the specific plan, there are, I don't know how many zoning districts, but there are several. They're graduated zoning districts. In some cases, there'll be various levels of residential that have different densities and obviously the typical open space and park. And in this particular development, there's a kind of a new concept called Village Center. And this is part of the future growth area and looking at mixed use where you would have residential on top of commercial buildings in a somewhat downtown type development where you'll have parks nearby. And this is a newer concept that you haven't seen in the existing zoning code. It's very specific to this plan area. The map shows the outline, more or less, of the CASP overlaid with an aerial photograph. For location, right here, I believe, is the Everett Alvarez High School. So this would be an extension of the project area. This map shows the relationship of the future growth area. Right now, in zoning, it's gray because there's no specific zoning. These specific plans are required in order to implement the general plan through the process of creating specific plans, creating the zoning standards, and going to the implementation part, ultimately, of tentative maps, which is where we're headed next. So essentially, west area right here, east area here, central area. This box more or less represents the location of the tentative map. Everything to the south would be the existing city limits, and north is outside of the city. As mentioned before, new development in the FGA requires a specific plan. This plan includes single-family, multifamily, and mixed uses. The densities, in this particular case, we're looking at about 1,674. There are a couple numbers floating around in the staff report. 1,804 is the general plan maximum. 1,778 shows up on one of the map sheets. And the reason we can't get to the 1,778 right now is because there's a greenhouse gas study that restricts at the 1,674. The exhibit to the left shows basically the land uses that are in the specific plan. You'll see the commercial areas, village center, there's some parkland. The edges are residential. This is a school, this is a school. The project has been reviewed by staff. It's consistent with the general plan and with the CASP. There is a related development agreement. The real crux of the development agreement in this case is that it allows the tentative map to have an initial 5-year expiration date. And if the tentative map is approved, it can be extended all the way up into the year 2040. The tentative map was sent to, and this is the processing of the tentative map, it was sent to public agencies as required by the Subdivision Map Act and by our subdivision regulations. It goes to utilities, public agencies, and school districts. Comments were received, PG&E, MST, and the MBARB folks. Responses to those comments are embedded in the staff report. There's an affordable housing plan as required. It's subject to the current inclusionary housing requirements that are embedded in the ordinance today. In this particular case, there will be 335 income restricted units. 201 of those are for rental, and 134 are for sale units. 30 years in terms of the timing, and the various levels of income are shown on the screen. Eventually, there will be affordable housing agreement as consistent with the affordable housing plan, and that happens during the later stages of the implementation of this particular map. For instance, a homeowners association and CC&Rs will be required. There's an agreement letter, a third-party agreement that was signed by, I believe, members of the development party and with the community, and we'll talk about that, I think, on the next slide. No, we won't. But that agreement is a third-party agreement, and the staff position on that agreement is that while it's very, very closely integrated with the provisions in the affordable housing plan, it does not match exactly. One of the main differences is with what we call concurrency. Members of housing, I believe, are here, and they can explain those minute details or details. There was a Planning Commission meeting, I think it was about a week and a half ago, July 17. The Planning Commission received testimony from the public, and there are also a few questions that the Planning Commissioners raised in terms of environmental review, the agreement letter, the timing of the housing construction. And one of the points about the timing was how many houses of inclusionary are required as the pacing happens with the market rate units. The agreement letter calls for, I believe, 1 affordable unit for each 6 production or rather, market rate units. The housing ordinance is slightly different. The thresholds are a little bit different. I won't get into those details, but if those questions are going to come up, housing here will handle that. I think it's around the 50th home or something to that point. Again, there are questions about HOA and the CC&Rs, who funds, how does that work, the MST comments and PG&E. In this particular case, it was requested that the responses and the questions from that Planning Commission meeting be embedded into the City Council staff report, and they are there for the council to review. There's also a question about the number of school sites, which are 2, and the locations, which we just showed on the screen. Traffic comments also came up at the Planning Commission meeting, and I believe engineering here is to be available should those questions come up from the council. At the end of the meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the map for City Council consideration. In terms of CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act, this project is a portion of the CASP. The CASP was reviewed by an EIR. The EIR was certified by the council. This project has been determined to be consistent with and analyzed in the manner that was certified by the City Council. So this project, staff recommends, is consistent with that EIR. A checklist was put together. It's dated June 28, 2024, and that checklist analyzes the various issues and concludes that there are no impacts with this project that were not analyzed by that prior EIR. There's a CEQA section 15183, which is the basis for this analysis. With that, the recommendation is to, 1, determine that the project is consistent with the EIR. That EIR is listed as I believe it's the Central Area, Environmental Impact Report, the final EIR, certified by council. And then finally, approve the tentative map, which would take a 189-acre lot and subdivide it into 427 single-family, multifamily, and other public open space lots for development of future housing in the city of Salinas of about 1,674 dwelling units. With that, 2 letters were received recently, I think today. One of them was from Landwatch, another one from Alexia Garcia. Both of these letters support the project and recommend that council approve the tentative map. With that, this concludes staff's presentation, and staff's available for questions.
Great, thank you. We'll go to council members for questions, then we'll go out to the public for general public comment on this item, and then we'll come back to council members for final comment and action. So I'll start to my left. Councilmember Valenzuela, questions?
No questions.
Okay, Councilmember Rocha, questions?
Yes. This question is going to be regarding the concurrency and affordability, so I'm not sure who from our Community Development Department would like to answer that. Thank you. So can you speak to what the city's current requirement is for concurrency and affordability with our inclusionary housing ordinance?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luis Ochoa. I'm the Senior Community Development Analyst with the City of Salinas, the Housing Division. And under its current affordable housing plan, we have done a very thorough job at looking at the inclusionary ordinance along with the affordable housing plan that has been put in place. And for example, this development is going to produce both type of housing, which is going to be rental and ownership. And so basically, they had opted for option one. And with city staff and the developer, we analyzed and we reviewed all the numbers. And the affordable housing plan is in conformance with every aspect of our current inclusionary ordinance that was approved by City Council in 2017.
Good afternoon, Lisa Brinton, Community Development Director. To answer your question regarding concurrency, so the current ordinance requires that, states that the city may issue building permits for 70% of the market rate units prior to issuing the first permit for an affordable unit. And that percentage can be even higher should the developer partner with an affordable housing developer. The onboarding, the permitting of the affordable units can be delayed even further, and 100% could come at a later date if there is that partnership. So I believe that was your question.
So in short, our current inclusionary housing ordinance says after 70%.
70% is the tipping point.
And I'm going to, if it's okay with the city attorney, reference the side agreement made with the Salinas Housing Justice Coalition and Stonebridge Homes. In that agreement, it says the parties agree that Stonebridge will not use the in lieu fee option in the ordinance for their ownership projects in the central area, but instead satisfy their inclusionary requirements for ownership dwellings by building their affordable by design residential dwellings within Stonebridge's portion of the central area. It also says Stonebridge will follow the concurrency requirements incorporated in the ordinance, and in addition, will obtain one building permit for a required inclusionary ownership unit for every 6 market rate building permits issued. So the side agreement that was made goes far beyond what our current inclusionary
Correct, and that is at
ordinance.
the developer's discretion. This is just sets the minimum threshold that is required.
And so it's my understanding the developer has agreed to uphold this side agreement that was made.
There's an executed letter, yes.
Okay, and I just wanted to highlight that as we have an ordinance in place, but there is a side agreement that was made between advocates and the developer that's going to really go far above what our current ordinance says.
Correct.
There is going to be set aside 355 designated affordable units, 67 very low income units, 134 low income units, 67 moderate income units, and 67 workforce income units. Tying this back into our RENA goal numbers, historically we have not done well with meeting our moderate and workforce RENA numbers. Do you think this is going to make a significant dent in that area of need?
Definitely. I think one of the areas that our current inclusionary ordinance did, it allowed for developers to develop inclusionary housing units at higher income thresholds, which will include moderate, workforce, and so it's medium. We have workforce, and then we have moderate incomes, which will be the equivalent to 100% AMI, 120, and up to 160. So those are the 3 thresholds that typically in the past it had been hard to develop housing units, whether they were ownership or rental. In this specific case, those units will be for ownership opportunities.
And of the 1,674 units, 487 will be for sale for single-family and townhomes and land homes. 615 will be for sale, condominiums and apartments, and 572 will be for rent, condos, apartments, and courtyard apartments. So as I'm reading it, 1,187 units will be for housing that is not single-family home, and 487 will be for single-family homes.
Yeah, we will really have to corroborate some of those numbers, but they are stipulated within the affordable housing plan between what was going to be provided in the form of rental housing versus ownership is clearly detailed in that affordable housing plan.
Okay.
I do not know the numbers exactly from the top
worries.
of my
I'm just
head.
referencing
Sorry.
the staff report. Just wanted to confirm, as I understood. Because as I understand it, what I'm looking at is 71% of the units of housing in this development will be essentially non-single family homes, which is really something I wanted to point out, which is a huge need in our community to have a more diverse set of housing options for residents. Lastly, can you talk about the open space amenities that are going to be included in this development? Because it's my understanding there's 10 lots that are going to be available for open space, but it's 6 parks that are going to be included in this development. But I just wanted to clarify if that was a correct interpretation of the development.
Is it possible to pull up the, I think, slide maybe 2 or 3 that showed the CASP area? Maybe the one after that might be better. So there are a number of creeks that run through the property, and this might be a good question for the developer as well, but from a staff standpoint, the implementation of the future growth area requires 100-foot setbacks from top of bank for all the creeks and waterways in the project area. Those creeks, I believe, are these lines here. I think there's something else going over here. This particular project has 2 school sites that are actually not a part of the project, but there is a park here and there's something over here as well. These would be considered recreational open space areas for the enjoyment of the future residents.
Thank you. And then lastly, this will be for the city attorney. For so long, this development was held up in court over lawsuits with school districts. But it's my understanding there was a settlement with the Salinas Union High School District and the developers on this. Can you speak to what was included in that settlement agreement?
So I can't speak to the specifics necessarily because the city was not a part of that settlement agreement, but the developer who is in the audience and can perhaps speak to that in public comment. But there was teacher housing essentially provided for the Salinas Union High School District as part of an apartment development on Abbott Street. And so in exchange for dropping their litigation against the city and the real parties and interest developers, that teacher housing was provided to the Salinas Union High School District to make it available for their employees.
Thank you. Those are all of my questions, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Councilmember Sandoval. Okay. Councilmember Barrera, questions?
Madam Mayor, I'm going to wait during public comment. I hope the developer can publicly just say that they will honor this agreement. So I'm going to wait for that. And but other than that, going through the planning commission, and I feel pretty well. But I would like to hear it in public as far as the integrity of this agreement. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Osornio, questions?
Yeah, I don't have any questions, but I do. I don't know if I can ask the question or maybe ask it, and then when the developer comes up, maybe he can address it. But my questions were just going to be on some of the concerns that came up with HOA versus some other type of agreements to how to maintenance the area. So hopefully the developer could kind of touch on that very quickly. And then also I would like to hear about this agreement and see if the developer's going to honor it as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, I have no questions on this hearing, so we will go out to the public. Do members of the public wish to comment on this item? Oh, you know what? Yeah, I apologize. My city attorney is advising we should probably give the developers the first opportunity to speak. Sorry about that. Welcome, and just like to be fair with everyone else, you have 2 minutes.
New York City Council, Hugh Walker, Stonebridge Homes. This is a long time in the making here, folks. This is 18 years worth of work to get to this stage. We have been in a housing crisis for better than 10 years. This tentative map is probably the first major subdivision map that has come in front of the City Council in 25 years. So this is the beginning of a lot of new housing and hopefully some rent relief and hopefully some price stabilization in the for sale market. The more we can put supply out there, the more choices people have, the more competitive it becomes. So it's pretty simple economics. We've been waiting this for a long time. I'd like to thank the previous city council that got us to this stage. Tony, you were on that, or Mr. Barrera, you were on that in 2020. Everybody else here that has been advocating for this and pushing forward, thank you very much. Chris Callahan, city attorney, for all your help. We really appreciate it. I still have 47 seconds. I'm going pretty fast. There was a couple of comments. I guess I'm going to come back later for the comments. Is that?
I'll give you the opportunity to do it now.
Okay. So there were a couple of comments with the concurrency and the for sale. They have it right on the 70%. We are going to do 1 to 6. We are going to honor that agreement with the Housing Advocacy Group. That was made back in 2020. Our then president at the time, Hugh Bickle, signed it. We will honor it. We are a company of our word, and we will do that. We've been here a very long time. We built the original Creek Bridge, and I've been here since that project started in 1987. So I have a lot of history with Creek Bridge and what currently is going on.
I'm going to go ahead and give you, with the council's nod, I understand Councilmember Barrera and Councilmember Osornio would like their questions answered.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and put 2 more minutes on the clock, but I do want to be fair to everybody in the audience.
Okay, I will go quickly.
Thank you.
Councilman Rocha asked about parks and open space. There is a lot of open space in the CASP area. We don't have very much open space on our tentative map. We are in the center of it, so we have no creeks, but we do have a lot of parks that exceed our Quimby Act. And there is a park standard from the city of Salinas. Depending on the size of the park, depends on the amenities that go into the park. Questions? HOA and CCNRs you mentioned. Okay, so this project, going through the specific plan and all the approvals, is supposed to be basically a net zero cost other than fire and police that are the obvious to the city. That meaning that streets, sidewalks, lighting, light posts, landscaping, common area landscaping will all be bore on the backs of the people that buy the homes and the landlords that keep maintain ownership of multifamily homes. So that can be in the form of a landscape maintenance district. It can be in the form of a CFD, a Mello-Roos, an HOA. We haven't completely 100% decided. With an HOA, they tend to be a little bit more self-governing rather than having the city do it. No offense, but I think that we can probably do a better job at maintaining all of this, and initially out of the get-go anyway. And then when you do set up an HOA, all of it, budgeting, everything goes, the purchase agreement, CCNRs, everything goes through the Department of Real Estate. So there is an approval process from a governing board that actually approves the budget and everything that gets put in the budget. So that would be setting up an HOA. The HOAs would be governed by a board that is elected of homeowners and a third-party management company. That all gets set up prior to the first closing of a single-family home. And then, Tony, I don't know what you...
Just to affirm.
I mentioned that we would
project.
honor the agreement. So, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Public comment on this item. 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm David Masonev. I'm excited about this. We had a rent meeting just the other day at the PAL Center, as Christopher remembers, and one of the things that I brought up was rent control, though I understand the need for it, isn't going to really solve the problem. It's a Band-Aid approach. The problem with the city is supply and demand. We don't have any supply for the demand that we have for units. This is a beginning. This is awesome. This is something that I would like to see way more of, the city being proactive and getting involved and really starting to build. And deed restrictions are going to be an imperative part of this. I don't know if anybody thought about that, but how are you going to ensure that Salinas residents benefit from this and not people from the outside? And you can do that through a deed restriction, with the saying, hey, you got to live here 3 years before you can apply for this type of housing. So I'm totally excited, and yeah, so good job. Thanks.
Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon, City Council, Madam Mayor. Luis Chago Juarez for Building Healthy Communities, and as the previous resident had commented, lots of excitement. The work that we have been investing in, along with a coalition of other organizations, CCA, CBDIO, Monterey Bay Central Labor Council, Reinvest 831. For over the past year, we have been in an engagement process with our city council member folks, with residents, and in all the conversations, it's always about housing. Yes, this is not a solution. It is a Band-Aid to a very huge wound. And we're gonna do our best to make sure that this Band-Aid stays, and it contributes to the healing that will allow for our residents to build enough capital, to build enough economic muscle to be able to purchase a home. And just to double back on that side agreement, Mr. Walker, I think we are very, very excited to hear that this effort is being made to benefit each person from each district, and we have been engaging folks from each district. District 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think there's a 3 here right now. I think we're missing our 3 and our 6, but they show up with us, and this is what we're about. Housing for everybody. Housing is a human right, and I believe my compatriots here are in agreement, and I believe there is a good number of folks here that believe the same as well. Housing for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McDougall, thank you for your patience. I got you here before 8 p.m.
Next summer, when the students come to learn about city government, can I be part of the class too to learn how to read the agenda? That'd be great. Enough self-deprecation. I'm still Steve McDougall. I don't need to reintroduce myself, but I am fully in support of the agreement. I hope you approve staff's recommendations for this project. It is overdue and needed. And the gift, not all tort cases have good outcomes, but I got to say, the housing project for the high school district was a very good outcome, but it's not enough. And half of it's for classified employees and half of it's for teachers. Yeah, teachers make more, but they don't make too much, but they make too much to qualify for the housing that we have. So they need options, and this is one of them. We have 5 brand new teachers that just landed in our community. They started school today that are trying to find a place to couch surf as we speak. So we're not going to be able to help them tonight, but rest assured, in the future, hopefully things will have some options. So I hope you approve the recommendation, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Again, Katie Bassler, President of Salinas Valley Federation of Teachers. I want to echo what Mr. McDougall said. It is painful to hear new educators that are excited about moving to Salinas, starting their careers as educators, and they can't find housing that they can afford. This is a huge step and a huge win for the city, and we thank the council for all of their work to come with this agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, Mayor Craig and members of the council. I'm Jeff Morgan, President of Chiefs, but I'm very proud to support this community, this project. I know my predecessor was involved in many of the discussions, and I'm excited about the idea of, imagine 201 Section 8 holders, having folks here that can get the kind of deep affordability the community needs so desperately to avoid overcrowding and to add to the solution. It's like Chago said, I mean, basically the rent caps or rent stabilization is a Band-Aid. What we really need is more housing, and I hope you vote for this today. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Jesús Estrada, soy uno de los organizadores con Centro de Abogacía de la Comunidad y a mí me da gusto que haya más viviendas, ¿sí? Como pensaba el gobernador actual, necesitamos 1 millón de viviendas, ¿sí? Todo California. Así que me da gusto, pero también hay que pensar cómo realmente los residentes de Salinas pueden beneficiar eso, porque muchas veces los que vienen fuera son los que compran y rentan, o los que vienen fuera son los que rentan y trabajan en otra área. Pero ¿cómo podemos ver que realmente los residentes de California sean beneficiados de este tipo de viviendas? Muchísimas gracias.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Jesus Estrada, and I'm an organizer with CCA. And I'm really happy to see that there's going to be more housing here for the area. Our governor said that we needed 1 million housing in all California, and I'm happy to see that we're moving forward. But we have to see that the residents of Salinas can really benefit from these houses, because a lot of people come from outside, they buy the houses and they rent them. So we really have to see that the community and the people that live in Salinas are the one that benefit from these housings. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Matt Huerta here. As a local resident, affordable housing consultant, and Housing Community Development Director for the Monterey Bay Economic Partnership, I am pleased to support the approval of the Stonebridge Homes tentative map application for the first phase of the Central Area Specific Plan. The plan embodies many positive urban planning principles, including walkability to parks, schools, shopping, and a range of housing types that also addresses various affordability levels. That said, affordability does not happen without specific policies and investment. We have a good inclusionary ordinance that incentivizes apartment development by giving the option for lower fees to increase feasibility, while still reserving rental homes for Section 8 voucher holders. Many voucher holders we know struggle to find opportunities in our community. 201 new homes will be a huge benefit for our residents. Our inclusionary ordinance, as was mentioned earlier, is overdue to be updated. One of the key areas is ensuring that affordable homes are built concurrently with market rate homes. On behalf of the Salinas Housing Justice Coalition, we appreciate the cooperation of Stonebridge Homes to land on an agreement that goes beyond the existing inclusionary ordinance, such as building affordable for-sale homes at a ratio of 1 for every 6 market rate homes, and assurances that local residents will be invited to purchase first. This is critical given the pressure we are seeing from the Bay Area residents who are looking to relocate here. This project represents a model for how we can all collaborate to ensure there are more opportunities for all sectors of our workforce. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hi, I'm Bill Freeman. Thank you for considering this project to build more homes here in the city of Salinas. But as a longtime resident and native of Salinas, California, I firmly believe Salinas needs more affordable housing, because every day I see more homeless people pushing carts around the city everywhere I drive to. And the fact is that the city of Salinas was marked one of the most expensive places in the country to live, and the prices are somewhat too high for a lot of people. So I would like to see in the distant future to build more affordable housing where you can do that to make sure that everyone has a place to live. And secondly, I would like to find out what the city is doing in terms of getting the people who have no homes and are desperately on the streets every day pushing carts. What are we doing to make sure that we see no more homeless people? And that's what I'd like to see. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon. Name is Eric Peterson. Speaking in this case as President Pedali Alpini, one of the oldest and most successful cycling organizations in the United States. And it's interesting this comes up during the Olympics because we had Olympic team members. I didn't see anything in the report about bicycle facilities. However, I know one of the neighboring developments has bicycle facilities, and the last I heard they were still not in compliance with the Caltrans Highway Design Manual, Chapter 1000. The significant thing there is these are safety-oriented, and they use the word shall. And I'll leave it to the city manager to define that, city attorney, sorry, Chris, to define that, except it's used in the Internal Revenue Code, and I've seen it used in court. There are bicycle facilities all over Monterey County that are not in compliance with the Highway Design Manual. Fortunately here, almost all of them are, and that's a good thing because it's safety oriented. So we need to keep doing that, and we need to make sure, but if any bicycle facilities in this development, as well as all the others in the future growth area, are in compliance with Chapter 1000 Highway Design Manual. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Buenas tardes, miembros del Concilio Mayor y todo el equipo. My name is Sabino Lopez. I've been working with CCA for more than 30 years and a long time Salinas resident. And mainly, advocating for affordable housing in the whole of Monterey County, mainly here in Salinas, in North County, and everywhere we can. So I'm here to support this tentative map, and mainly for the part of the affordable housing, because I think it's very important for us, for Salinas, our residents, our crisis, the rent is very expensive, there's not a places to go, a lot of evictions, a lot of pressures for our families. They don't make enough money to pay rent, and they're getting worse and worse. Hopefully this project will give more opportunities for our community, to have more access for a new housing and decent housing where they can live with dignity and retain the people here in Salinas, because a lot of people are thinking to move out because here is very expensive to live. It's not enough money for everything, and everywhere you go is very expensive. So I think so. I'm pleased to see this happening. Hopefully soon. I don't know when. If you can tell us when it's going to be started building, because we've been waiting for years. I know this. We approved this. We were working years and years advocating for this project, and we expecting that something going to happen, but we didn't see nothing for years. Hopefully now, but when is my last question for you? When? Hopefully you're going to ask the question for everyone, and you're going to respond hopefully sooner than later. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hi, council members, mayor, Mr. Callahan, Mr. Mendez. Monterey community, Jose Guerra, great idea. We're just about 10, 15 years short of the time. But if we had another 5 or 6, maybe 10 more of these ideas going at the same time, we could probably not have a rent control problem like we have. We have a housing problem, and I mentioned that before. And if we can redirect that to reforming Section 8 and everything else that we do, so we can make that an opportunity for everybody, not just some people, everybody. You have a lot of farm workers that don't have any housing. And just in our community, they just approved Mr. Bengard's H2A unit. And when I talked to Avila Construction, I asked them, why don't you build one for the farm workers that live here, not just the ones that come and visit? You have a lot of farm workers here that need housing. And maybe not just farm workers, maybe, people that are struggling in other areas. But I'm just saying, if we're gonna do that, we're gonna be a community, why don't we take care of the people that feed us? The people that work in the fields feed you guys. They feed all these agriculture guys, all these big money guys. Without the workforce, they can't do it. I don't see how they don't see that. I don't see how nobody sees that, you know? El Mexicano, he works hard and he's not appreciated. Why? I don't understand that. And I see everybody, you know, and you guys, God bless you, sitting up there and taking all this criticism, but let's do something about it now. Let's put our foot in the door and start walking forward instead of backwards and having all these ag guys control everything. There's people here that need housing. Let's take care of it. Let's start with the farm workers and the homeless and the people that can't afford it. Well, thank you very much. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon, City Council. I'm just going to echo what others said, especially this gentleman right before me, and Matt and Jesus and Sabino. CCA supports this project. My name is Nadley Herendine. I'm the Executive Director for CCA. But we do hope that the affordable homes are built first, or at least at the same time and the same amount of numbers as the market rate homes, and that there is a local preference set for farm workers, for the most vulnerable, for homeless individuals, for teachers, and that also that everything is built as green as sustainably as possible, because as we can all tell, it's getting hotter here, and we hope that there's community gardens and lots of trees and lots of access to parks and local parks mixed in with the housing. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Mayor, City Councils. My only concern with the development is in terms of infrastructure, safety, firefighters, police. Our roads is degrading more and more. Boronda is in a very, very bad stage. So what is the responsibility for the developers in terms of this, and for how long? This is my concern. We need more housing. We need more developers here on the area. Is the progress, is the future, is growing Salinas, but we need more responsibility for the constructors, companies, and everyone involved in the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hello, welcome. So, Margaret Serna-Benetti, for the record, and I want to thank the council for this project and the mayor for finally bringing this to fruition. I'd like to thank Hugh Walker and Mr. Bickle and Stonebridge for finally getting this off the ground. I know it's not that easy to get it off the ground. The economy dictates quite a bit. We need housing, but sometimes the economy just doesn't allow for projects like this to get off the ground. But we're finally here, and as somebody said, it is a Band-Aid. Farm worker housing, yes, greatly needed. Maybe we could sort of one-up Half Moon Bay. Can you believe Half Moon Bay finally approved farm worker housing through all the kicking and screaming that that's not the right kind of community for the farm worker housing? But it all is, because farm workers, I mean, they're the bread and butter. So I wanted to bring something else up that, so this project is going to have a lot of impact on all the other communities. And I welcome housing. Not always so hot on putting all the other projects in our area, spread that around, please. But there's a lot of traffic impact, as we know, thanks for the upgrades on Independence. But Constitution, with all the traffic that goes back and forth and they race. And so maybe some of those roundabouts that are being planned for Boronda and other areas, maybe we can get one of those on Constitution so that we don't have people racing from one end of Boronda all the way down, cutting through lights. It's very dangerous. People have been killed in that area. So I just wanted to, bring that up. And I am so happy that Stonebridge is willing to, that agreement was made out for the teacher housing and also for the 1 to 6. That's a huge improvement. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody who worked on this project.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Buenas tardes de nuevo, mi nombre es Nidia, soy residente de aquí de la ciudad de Salinas y por lo tanto estoy muy contenta de escuchar este proyecto. Y le pido al concilio que apruebe estas viviendas. Pero al igual tengo algunas preocupaciones y sugerencias. ¿Cómo podemos, número uno, cómo podemos asegurar que por cada 6 viviendas construidas a un precio de mercado nos aseguremos y se aseguren de construir una vivienda a un precio asequible? Número 2, y que esas viviendas sean para residentes de Salinas y no para residentes extranjeros de otra ciudad. Y con esto ayudaríamos la escasez de vivienda para la comunidad de Salinas. Y número 3, ¿cómo podemos desarrollar avenidas para compradores por primera vez, para que podamos acceder a estas viviendas? Gracias.
Hello again, my name is Nidia Soto, and I'm so happy to see this project is going to be approved in Salinas. I'm happy to see that these houses are going to be built, but I'm worried about a few things. Like, how are we going to make sure that from every 6 homes that are built at market rate, one is going to be affordable? How are we going to make sure that these homes go to people that live in Salinas and are not bought from people that come from other cities or for outside of Salinas? And also, we should think about making or having a path for first-time home buyers. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Genesis Mojica. I also work with CCA. I'm actually the youth organizer over there. I'm very appreciative of this type of thing being brought up because unfortunately I do connect with a lot of youth and their housing situations, specifically one youth that lives with 15 other people in a 3-bedroom home. Things like this are very important, and I hope that we continue to bring things up, and I can bring youth to even speak about their own experiences because we really do need more housing. But like mentioned, I really hope that we take initiative and to make sure that these are Salinas residents getting these type of these services and making sure that it's open to them. And if there can be some type of first buyer kind of introduction, a lot of people who don't know how to even get a home. So I hope that there's more resources like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hi. Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Adriana Molina, soy parte del equipo de CCA y estoy aquí también para abogar por las viviendas accesibles. Creo que todos mencionaron que tenemos una situación muy difícil en Salinas y todos sus alrededores, pero en este caso enfocando en Salinas, muchas familias viviendo, ¿verdad?, en una sola vivienda, tantas personas, tantos niños sufriendo por esto. Entonces estoy aquí agradecida con todos ustedes por escuchar a cada uno de nosotros y esperamos tener una buena respuesta. Gracias.
Good afternoon. My name is Adriana Molina, and I work with CCA. And I'm very happy to hear that we are building affordable homes here in Salinas. This is a very hard situation, not only here, but all around. But I'm glad that we're focusing in Salinas. I'm so happy that there's homes that are being built that are affordable because this really, children are suffering. And I'm glad that you are building this. And I'm glad that you have heard our voices. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no one else in public comment, we'll go to Zoom and we will see it. We have a hand raised for public comment on this item. For iPhone, last 4 digits, 2493. You have 2 minutes. Welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Yolanda Hayes, and I agree with everything that's being said tonight with the more housing is being built. The only concern I have is what we currently have is somebody's making a lot of money, and those are the people that own these houses and are renting rooms and cots and laundry rooms for people to sleep, so they can pack in a lot of people in one home. How is that going to Is that even investigated? Is that okay to do? I'm sure they don't report taxes on the people they have and the monies they collect. That's just a comment that I have because I know there's some people in Salinas that are making a lot of money off of the tenants. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else on Zoom wish to comment on this item? If so, please use the raise hand function. All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment. We'll come back to council members for final comment and action. To my left, Councilmember Valenzuela, final comments.
Yes, no, I'm very excited about this project. This is one of the projects that, before I was on city council, I worked with the nonprofit groups to support it. And so, the fact that we are building concurrently, the developer has agreed to that is huge because farm workers need housing, but also, as the teachers union said, teachers also need housing. Those folks that may not qualify for the affordable rates, but still cannot afford a home here. So also to the city manager, still my fourth city council meeting, so kind of getting the hang of it. So just a few recommendations to take to staff. One is we should start doing a little bit more financial literacy. We don't want to get into a situation where these homes get built and folks rush to apply for the homes, but they don't have the credit, they don't have the money in the bank, maybe they don't even have a bank account because they don't trust financial institutions. And so if we start now with financial literacy, by the time that these homes get built, it gives Salinas residents a better chance to qualify. So that's one thing. The other one is, I know that because of redlining, we can't force only certain residents to be able to qualify first, but maybe with a developer, we can work on a marketing plan where the residents here are the first ones to know and they are able to apply. So maybe we can start thinking about a marketing plan for our residents, working with the nonprofit groups so that our residents are the first ones to know and are able to apply. And finally, maybe we can start exploring a potential partial tax or something so that we can bring more resources to our fire department. That area is going to be huge. I know that our fire department is already stretched thin, and so maybe a tax that will help them expand would be good. So those are just my comments, but thank you.
Councilmember Rocha.
I want to thank everyone who's been involved in this process, thank our city staff for all of their work throughout the years in this process. I think that this development is a real strong example of how you can bring the community into the decision-making process and have stakeholders really have a say in how their cities are built out. So I want to commend the Salinas Housing Justice Coalition. I want to commend Stonebridge Homes for your approach, collaborative approach to working on this tentative map. This is long overdue and will provide so much opportunities and relief for our community. 335 units of affordable housing, over 1,000 units of non-single family homes. We are going to have a lot of condominiums, a lot of apartments, a lot of housing that is really going to be affordable by design on top of the housing that is set aside as a deed-restricted affordable housing. So this is going to meet a lot of needs in our community. And we're also having open space included in this development. So we're not going to create just developments, we're going to create communities. And so I really want to highlight all the good that's in this project and thank everyone for their involvement in it. Happy to move the item for approval.
Second.
This will provide a lot of opportunity for our community. Thank you, everyone.
Motion made by Councilmember Rocha, seconded by Councilmember Sandoval. Will go on for final final council comment. Councilmember Sandoval.
My colleagues have said a lot, but I want to say I think this is a historic collaborative victory. I think this is the first time I've ever heard or watched or attended a council meeting where you have the developer organizations like Landwatch, housing advocates and community, and the council all speaking positive about a project. I think this moment is historic. I'm glad that Hugh has taken that approach, and thank you, Matt, for your leadership, and Chago and the community, as well as the council. I'm excited to see this project move forward, and I hope that this is an example for future developments. There is a lot of of projects in the works, and I'm thankful to the council for approving additional staff to address some of the new tentative maps that are coming forward, as well as making sure that our residents are being served. So I just want to thank everybody for their participation. I'm looking forward to this project moving forward.
Councilmember Barrera, final comments?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. You know, I want to say in memory of Alfred Diaz-Infante and the great gentleman, Mr. Hugh Bickle. CCA, BHC, beating the drum daily, walking the streets, holding your heart in your hand and making this happen. You folks have a lot to do with this, being here today. You know, somebody mentioned, why does it take so many years? I am sorry we deal with government like that. It doesn't matter what level it is. And yeah, sometimes we figure, why does it take so long? But I do have to say, if it wasn't people like Mr. Hugh Walker doesn't wait to be called, he calls us. He puts the homework on the table, explains it, and he continues. He's met with school districts, he's met with every council member that chooses to meet with them. It is individuals like that. I know a lot of times we hear the word developer and all of a sudden we think, oh, bad people. But Hugh Walker's unique. And I think he mentioned almost 25 years we haven't built anything, no homes. But look at this today. Thanks also to the unity of this council for a long time has been told that we're very dysfunctional. Well, this is dysfunction. Let's get more of that. This is a great, my colleagues, you know, I have to commend you. I've been here for a while, but there's no spider webs yet. I'm excited about what we're doing. You're thinking about everybody. Some of you are even thinking about how do we help people become first-time buyers? That's historical. And how do we help the people that live in Salinas versus people that are going to come from out of town? Well, this council is in unison in that. You know, the word dignity was put out there. I think where I live by Closter Park. I love where I live. I live in the Alisal. I love my home, my neighbors. Vicky, which is my neighbor, she rents space just to make her rent, not rooms. The couch costs $250. The corner in the living room costs another $300. And that's the reality. And you know what's interesting about all these people that live in this house? They all get up at 4 or 5 in the morning to go to work. They're not looking for handouts. They're looking for an opportunity. And I'm going to say this last thing. And you know, we talk a lot about our $4 to $8 billion agriculture industry, which is phenomenal. We're known for that. But that same $4 to $8 billion industry creates poverty in a lot of areas. Not a bad thing. A lot of people are coming for a better life. They're coming to work, but they find out we're going to make dollars now, but then they find out the check is not enough to go get a studio apartment. It's not enough. But I think we're making a great path today. And I want to thank all of you that have been involved in this. And I think Mr. Sabino Lopez, which has been here from day one, muchas gracias, Sabino. He asked the question, when? So Mr. Hugh Walker, let's get the shovels out really quick because we want to make, Sabino and I are still around when this project gets done. So thank you to all of you.
Councilmember Osornio, final comments.
Yeah, this is the great part of going last. I mean, all of my colleagues have said it best. It's a real pleasure to see a collaborative effort and just making sure that one, developers are developing, our community are getting homes, and obviously for us as well, being able to see that come to fruition. So thank you everybody that was involved, I always joke around with Hugh, and I say, Hugh, is it true that you're the boogeyman? You're the developer, and you put the name developer in front. But I've got to say, every single time I've ever taken a call from Hugh, just like Councilmember Barrera said, has all the documents and goes step by step, and whether we agree or disagree, we have a great conversation every time that we're meeting. So I just wanted to say thank you for that and just being informative more than anything. So just wanted to thank my colleagues as well for being supportive of making sure that this happens, and whether it's different types of assistance with rentals or purchasing. It's just great to know that this council is fully supportive of that. So thank you. No further comments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'll just take a quick moment to say that when I originally ran for city council in 2010, I learned about the future growth area, and more specifically, the west area and the central area. I was a representative for North Salinas and took a moment to really sit down at the time with Hugh Bickle and Hugh Walker to really understand what they were trying to accomplish with the central area specific plan. This plan has been in front of many iterations of this council. It's come forward in 2011, it came forward a little later on, and so I would acknowledge that the city, I hope, continues to be a strong partner with you in developing more homes in your property and your development. I know it's been a long time coming, and we're excited to continue down the road with you to ensure that we have really quality housing for all residents in our community. I do just, to the staff report itself, it seems like it's a bit of a slam dunk. Obviously, the tentative map is in compliance with CEQA. That's the big one. I'm grateful that the Planning Commission reviewed it and gave you a giant thumbs up. And we're really excited for 1,674 dwelling units. So happy to support what's being put forward today. With that, I'll call for the vote.
Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Rocha?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Yes.
Councilmember Valenzuela?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, we have more items on our agenda, and I know that some of us are going to attempt to get to National Night Out, so I appreciate everyone coming today. Give it a quick moment before we go on to the next item. All right, with that, I'm going to go on to the next item. 24-295, the annual levy of assessments for landscape and maintenance districts, and we are here to receive a report from Donna Segura with Harris and Associates.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, council members. Yes, I am Donna Segura from Harris and Associates. Here to speak tonight about our annual administrative process for the landscape and maintenance districts. Tonight, our recommended motion is to adopt a series of resolutions to approve the engineer's reports, confirming the diagrams and levy amounts, authorizing the levy and collection of annual assessments for fiscal year 2024-25 for the landscape maintenance assessment districts, and approving general fund transfers to cover the parks and open space maintenance costs associated with the special benefits received by parcels outside of the LMAD's boundaries. Just a quick summary, why we need your approval. This is part of the for the city's 6 lighting and landscape districts, this be in compliance with the Street and Highway Code section 22620 through 22641. And here we have a map. Shows the red is the city boundary, and the colorful boundary lines there are the various maintenance districts that we're discussing. A little background on all the six. They're all established per the city municipal code and the Landscape and Lighting District Act of 1972. This table here shows for each of the 6 districts the various improvements that are being funded by the assessments that we're collecting. I won't take time to review every single one of those, but I'm happy to answer questions at the end if need be. Okay, and here's the assessment rates. We're including for the last year, just for comparison. For the airport district, Airport Business Center district, no change, remain at $217.49 this year, same as it's been since 1987. For Vista Nueva, same, we're no change this year. It'll also be $600, the same that it's been since the year 2011. Hardin Ranch, no surprises here again. It'll still be, we're recommending $66.72, the same amount that it's been since 1991. Miramonte. This one's a little different this year. We've been collecting the $594.74 since the year 2005. This year, we're recommending a slight increase of 2.58%. That's to help the city keep up with the increasing maintenance cost. But it's also in anticipation of some of the improvements reaching the end of their useful life and needing to put some funds aside for capital replacement in the future. Then Montebella and Northeast. See, it looks, there's a negative in front of those numbers. We are recommending a reduced amount, and that's because this year we examined or analyzed the parks and open space benefit that the property owners in these districts are receiving. And based on that analysis, we see there's a greater general benefit or a benefit to folks outside, or property owners, outside of the district boundaries that are now benefiting from those improvements that may not have been when we created the districts. So we've made that analysis and we've reduced, or recommending that we reduce the assessments to account for that. That also means for that reduced amount, that's just a little bit more of a request. There's a fourth resolution there requesting that we transferred funds from the general fund to help cover what is being reduced from the LMD. And that's all I have tonight. I'm available for questions. My associate Tamara Bryant is on Zoom available for questions, and we've got city staff from Public Works also available here for questions.
Excellent, thank you. All right, we'll go to council members for questions. I'll start to my left. Councilmember Valenzuela.
No questions.
Okay, Councilmember Rocha, questions.
So the 19% difference on the Montebella and on the Northeast Assessment District is going to be covered instead by the general fund?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's I don't have it on the slide, but in the staff report, there's a table that shows the general fund contributions that would be required for each one there. Northeast area, it's approximately $84,000. In Montebella, it's $167,000.
And that's because of an identified broader use?
Correct, yeah. There's properties outside of the districts that are benefiting from those improvements, and so to not be an unfair burden on the property owners that are paying into that, we're just making that adjustment.
Understood. I have no other questions.
Okay, Councilmember Sandoval. Okay, Councilmember Barrera, questions.
Yes, I appreciate your report. Can you just, not to be redundant here, but Montebella, can you explain a little bit of, they're in for some good news here, but.
Yes. So we looked at the parks and the open space that are in that area and saw that there's a greater use from people outside that Montebella district that are getting benefit from those improvements. And so we have to make it proportional so that the property owners are only paying for what we consider their fair share or proportionate share of those improvements. So after our analysis, we saw that there was justification for reducing what benefit that the property owners are paying into.
Do you know how are they notified, or how are they notified, or are they notified?
No, I don't believe any.
Good news should be notified.
I'm not sure if staff
Hi,
is
good
notified.
afternoon. Yes, notifications went out specifically of the meeting, but on our website, we do post information regarding the different districts.
Great. So for Tuesday, Mr. City Manager, we'll have some good news. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilmember Osornio, questions?
No questions. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, and I have no questions. We'll go out to the public. Do members of the public wish to comment on this item? If so, please come on up. All right, seeing none, I'll go to Zoom. Any members of the public on Zoom wish to comment on this item? If so, please use the raise hand function. All right, we have 2493, an iPhone. Go ahead.
Yes, this is Yolanda Hayes again. I'd just like to know, is Gavilan Creek included in the Northeast District as a maintenance fund for us? Or is that covered by Agland Trust? Or who is paying for the maintenance of Gavilan Creek? Or is that just considered an open space? If that somebody could clarify that for me, or just send me an email to clarify, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Come back to council members for comment and action. To my left, Councilmember Valenzuela.
No further comments.
Councilmember Rocha.
Can that point be clarified as to who is going to be covering the cost of Gavilan Creek maintenance?
We have David Jacobs, our Public Works Director, to answer.
I don't know for a fact, but I believe it is funded by general fund money. We go in there and do some clearing and maintaining of the pathways, but I'd have to verify that and get back to you.
Okay, thank you. Just want to thank your firm for the analysis you did. It's going to be, a relief for a lot of our residents who are now going to be paying less in those assessment districts based on the analysis that was done over general benefit. So I'll move the item for approval.
I'll second.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Rocha. I'll give the second to Councilmember Barrera, and we'll go on for final comments. Councilmember Sandoval. Final comments, Councilmember Barrera?
Yes, I'm happy. It's always great to have good news, and looking forward to our meeting on Tuesday at Montevilla. Thank you.
Councilmember Osornio, final comments.
Just happy to support. Also, who doesn't like good news? And it looks like the percentage here and the recommended amount looks pretty good. So thank you for your work.
Excellent. And I have no further comments. So with that, go ahead and call for the vote.
Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Rocha?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Yes.
Councilmember Valenzuela?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. All right, on to our final item, 24-411, the Salinas United Business Association Fiscal Year 24-25 Annual Assessment. And just a public comment on my end, MCBC, my employer, holds a contract with SUBA. And while I do not have a financial conflict, I am recusing myself in an overabundance of caution. So I will hand over the meeting to Mayor Pro Tem Sandoval. Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Crystal Casillas. I'm the business navigator for the City of Salinas. Today, the Salinas United Business Association, also known as SUBA, a nonprofit designated by the City Council, oversees the annual assessment levy for the business improvement area in East Salinas, covering East Alisal and Sanborn. Per state law, SUBA must present an annual report to the City Council detailing past fund usage and future usage and their plans. The Council is to receive the report and set a public hearing date to review the levy of assessment. Tonight, the Council will review the report from Alejandro Chavez, the Executive Director of SUBA, and approve a resolution to schedule a public hearing for September 24th, 2024. And now I'll turn it over to Alejandro Chavez.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you so much for having us here today. I just wanted to, before I started off the presentation, I just wanted to say a few words. I wanted to mention two things. I wanted to share two things with you, and that is one, the vision of SUBA and the mission of SUBA. The new Alisal is the jewel of the Salinas Valley, an economic powerhouse and a thriving community where everyone is welcomed. The mission, we're a community-driven business association rising to improve East Salinas Business District. And with that, for the first time in some time, Alisal is faltering a bit. For the first time, SUBA is seeing vacant buildings in the Alisal. Businesses are advising SUBA that they will be closing this year or next year, and we've never heard that before. Some are telling us they're selling their business. Some are telling us they're retiring, and others are telling us that they're simply going to close. Businesses are stating to us, and this is all verbal information, nothing that we've been able to acquire at this point. We haven't gotten a report from HDL or anything that shows that this is happening. But they're stating that 50% of the amount of sales, that they're at 50% of the sales that they would be at this year, at this time. Most of our businesses are complaining about the lack of sales, the lack of customers. We conducted 2 brief surveys this year. We didn't have many participants, but what we observed in those surveys was that businesses were asking that they needed more customers, they needed more marketing, and they needed to increase and create a new customer base. So it seems as if no longer radio is bringing the customers to them. No longer are the television spots as Univision or Telemundo working for them. And it seems that those customers that they had, those clients that they had that were year-round farm workers that reside in Salinas, has transformed into a lot of H-2A workers that live here 5 to 8 months, and the purchasing power is a bit limited. And so it's crucial for us to examine the Alisal, all the avenues that we have, in particular tourism, internet, and technology to help guide new customers for businesses in the Alisal. And so I just wanted to start that kind of just so that you know what is being felt out there and what's kind of happening out in the Alisal for now. In our annual report, I might have pressed the wrong button here. There it is. That's what I get for pressing buttons. Our annual report, our accomplishments for last year, we had 3 ribbon cuttings, although we tried to have some more, we just weren't able to put those together. We had 22 workshops or webinars that were put together for our businesses. We had 24 social media posts highlighting the area itself. We had 9 radio interviews and 4 television interviews promoting the SUBA area and the services that we provide. We had 448 one-on-one meetings with businesses. We did outreach to 1,613 businesses. We did that many visits to promote our services and to promote the workshops that we were providing. SUBA's primary challenge that we have, and we've had for quite some time in our annual report, as you've seen over the years, has been to create a financial sustainability plan. Our partnership with MCBC has assisted us in providing some more workshops, in doing more outreach, and really, we've been able to do a whole lot more with a lot of our businesses. However, since a few years back, and the way the payments were done and how assessments are collected, there has been a drop in our assessments that we've collected. We've gone from 2018, 2019, where we collected $70,819 in assessments, to 2019, 2020, where we collected $67,440, to this past year, where we collected $42,448. Since the end of June and through the month of July, we've collected an additional $2,392. So we are still sending out the bills from this past year, and we have collected some, and we expect to get more for this past fiscal year. In our annual report, we wanted to share with you our goals and objectives for next year, and that is to continue marketing and promotions, to continue having our business resources for our businesses, to continue talking and working on safety issues for our businesses, and continue working on the beautification and cleaning of our area. And those goals and objectives are as follows: 40 social media marketing posts of our area, of marketing our area, and then of 20 social media posts of the entire area, so the other ones would be of specific businesses. The 15 interviews on television and radio to promote the Suba area, and to provide 4 ribbon cutting ceremonies. The business resources to provide 4 classes or webinars for members on business basics, to provide 20 workshops and webinars regarding business-related topics, to provide 300 one-on-one meetings with Suba members. In the safety area is to provide 4 public safety meetings in our Suba area, to coordinate and develop business area safety plans with our businesses directly and working with our Salinas Police Department. And the last goal in safety would be to monitor and contact city, county, state agencies regarding health, safety, and sanitary issues, which we do quite often. On the beautification and cleaning side is to further develop our ambassador cleanup program, our beautification program, and to schedule and implement 4 cleanups throughout the Suba area with other organizations, volunteers, as well as our board and members. In our budget, as I mentioned earlier, as far as our challenges are concerned, as you can see, there was an approval of $105,521 that were approved for assessments last year, and we collected $42,448, although that number has increased slightly since then. But we're basically at 42.5% right now of the assessments. We have the contract, the donations, the events, and that's basically where you see our numbers. So we are definitely struggling financially, but continuing to work really with our businesses as much as we can to provide the resources that they are in desperate need. And as I spoke earlier about what they're seeing, it's reflecting on what is happening to us as well. The proposed budget for next year. Again, we'll utilize the number from this past fiscal year because we haven't received new numbers, and we expect those to come in more than likely sometime in August or sometime in September. And if we get those numbers in time, we'll make that adjustment for the scheduled public hearing if we move forward with a public hearing. And then the contract that we're expecting, we've put the numbers there. Grants, donations, events, and what we're expecting for operational costs. The requested City Council action, as you saw in your report, is to adopt the resolution approving this fiscal year 23-24 annual report as required for the Salinas Business Association's business improvement area. adopt a resolution intention to levy and collect an annual assessment in the Salinas United Business Association Business Improvement Area for fiscal year 24-25, and to set a public meeting to consider the levy. And so that is my report, and if there's any questions or any questions of staff, I'm sure we will try to do our best.
Thank you, Alejandro. We're going to go to Councilmember Valenzuela for questions.
Yeah, it's just a couple of questions. So thank you, Alejandro, for that report. In talking to some of the businesses, I know it's out of your district, but in downtown, one of the biggest things that they're saying is an issue for the businesses is the rising cost of their rent. Now, are we seeing the same thing in yours?
Yeah, a lot of the places are the rent is increasing. So I'll give you an example. I don't know if I should do it publicly. I'll just say that one of the shopping centers, the rents have gone from, in two of the locales that I know specifically, the rent has gone up from $5,500 to $6,800 in one of the locales that I know. We worked with them to try to see if we can mitigate that with the landlord, and we were able to bring it down slightly, and we were able to get a contract with the landlord that gave them the opportunity to sublease the space with permission by the landlord, of course. But they didn't have that clause in their contract before. The space is somewhat large, and so by being able to work that with them and negotiate that, if they need to, there is that possibility of them bringing in someone else that can help with part of that rent to try to subsidize some of the costs. And so that is definitely an issue that's happening out there. And I think that's part of the reason that you're seeing some of the vacancies, because I could tell you 7 years ago, there was 0 vacancies.
Right. And I don't know if there's a question for our city attorney, but I know that we're seeing a lot of rent stabilization for just regular residents. Is that something that cities do for businesses?
Councilmember, I have not seen that in any other California city, no.
Okay, that's good. And Alejandro, you mentioned, you did some surveys. Did city staff support you with those surveys?
They were really small surveys. I think the one that got the most, I think we got, I want to say 17 individuals that participated. So they were pretty small. It was not the city. It was just us trying to put some surveys just to get some, more than anything, to try to figure out what was going on, because you're hearing it on a day-to-day basis from businesses, but trying to see if you can get a little bit more information. And so we tried to do it that way, but we didn't get as much as we kind of wanted.
No, understood. I still really want to commend you on going out there and talking to the businesses, though. That speaks to your organizing experience. And then, just a final question, because we're seeing this in businesses in the downtown area and all the areas. So do you feel from your standpoint that maybe a citywide meeting with businesses, SUBA, the Salinas City Center Association, the Chamber of Commerce, would that be a benefit so that we as a city can also strategize on how to support the small businesses?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think one of the steps that the city did a few years back by bringing in business navigators, I think that has tremendously helped, because if there is no SUBA, let's say SUBA goes away tomorrow or something happens with other organizations, whatever it may be, having some infrastructure within the city really does help, because I think part of the issue with the city is trying to figure out where to go for permits, where to do this, where to do that, and it's really difficult to do when, one, you don't have the infrastructure within the city, and then two, an organization that's advocating and helping and guiding businesses. And I think that you have to have both, but if you don't have both, at least have that piece within the city is very important.
Good, thank you.
And if you can grow that, that would be great.
Sounds good. All right, no further questions.
By any chance, are you seeing a particular sector of the business community struggling the most as compared to other businesses?
The two that we're really seeing the retail is really struggling. I think they're really struggling. Some of the restaurants are struggling a bit, but more so the retail. And then the other folks that seem to be struggling a lot are the folks that are doing specifically just income taxes. So the folks that are just doing income taxes, if they haven't diversified and done other things outside of income taxes, it just seems that's where they're struggling.
Mm-hmm. Have you identified any preliminary strategies on how to address this moving forward?
You know, I think what we've been doing is having a whole lot more workshops on marketing so that they could do their own social media marketing. That's usually the cheapest way to do it. Radio, television is really, really expensive. And so if you're already struggling as a business, it's going to be hard for them to put the resources in those types of marketing. But doing specific social media marketing really helps. But I think in general, I think one of the things part of the thing that we did in the last couple of years is really focused to work with C Monterey. And so working with C Monterey to try to boost a little bit on the restaurant side, on the bakery side, we've tried to do that by having them be included in the websites for C Monterey. And then the other thing that we did this past year is we partnered with Get Virtual out of UC Santa Cruz. And so we've provided so far 7 websites for 7 of our businesses. One of them is for the Salinas Indoor Swap Meet. The other one is for Mercadito Alegría, and the other one is for Mercado Alisal. We tried to hit those that had a lot of businesses within so that we could get I was going to say a bunch, I'll use a better term, a lot of our businesses within one certain area to be all in a website. So for example, when you talk about Mercadito Alegría, you're talking about 7 to 8 businesses. When you're talking about the Indoor Swap Meet, you're talking about 27 to 28 businesses all in just one website where you can look at what they do and what they offer. So that's one of the things that we've been trying to assist some of our business with. And those are free websites, and we've done, the creation of those websites has been free as well.
As the city continues to invest in the Alisal Vibrancy Plan, do you think that's going to play a role in attracting more people to the area who want to, support these businesses?
I think tourism is kind of the key. I think the other piece that's still missing, that really is missing, and this morning I was at a barber shop and I was at another business this morning there on Alisal, and I think one of the things that sometimes falls on the wayside is the broadband issue. So for some of these businesses, sometimes having their cash register, having their cameras on doesn't work. Sometimes it's too slow, so they have to turn something off to get the other thing back on. So it's something that needs to be addressed. I think the broadband issue from where the police station is to Sanborn needs to be addressed. Mm-hmm. And that would be helpful for that. And I think the Alisal Vibrancy Plan, when you talk about the awnings that hopefully come and the public art, I think all of that will help the area.
And when I was referring to these businesses, I was saying about the businesses that are in particular struggling. And to hone in on that a little bit more, do you think that there's an opportunity to have a discussion about looking at what other similar vendors are doing to perhaps replicate those successes with the businesses in particular that are struggling?
It would be great for them to be able to do that, or for us to have that resource for them to take a look at. I mean, we've got on Alisal Street alone, I believe we've got 7 bridal shops, I believe it is. I think it's 7. And some do much better than others, in part because some market better than others. So I think helping each other out is beneficial for the whole area.
Yeah, I think that perhaps identifying industry trends might be beneficial. But those are all of my questions.
Thank you so much.
Councilmember Barrera.
Thank you, Mayor Andrew. Good to see you, Mr. Chavez. We've been discussing this broadband issue for quite some time now. Does any staff know where we're at with this? Anybody?
The Community Development Department has been working with the Public Works Department and our consultant, Kimberly Horn, to prepare a broadband master plan that is citywide. A component of that is also a specific design for the Alisal. And so this is in its final stages of preparation. So we anticipate either the second meeting in August or early September, we'll be bringing that plan before the City Council to consider adopting as a key strategic planning document.
Thank you. Thank you for that information. A lot of times there's certain things that we can't help out as far as whether the economy, wherever people choose to shop. Mr. Chavez, let's have an honest conversation here. On safety, where do you think we're at with safety there in the Suba district?
I mean, I could tell you one thing. I could tell you that the police department is doing a wonderful job. They've been there, I could tell you the last 3-4 years, it's been night and day in comparison to the way it was. They're on things really quickly. They're there when folks call. We had a break-in over at one of our cellular phone spots at 4:30 in the morning. The owner didn't even know it happened. The police were there. The place was boarded up, and when the owner got there, they were like, "What happened to my window? How did it get boarded up?" So they've been on top of things, I think, overall, and you see them really working really well. I think Councilman Osornio has seen the work that's done over on Kern Street, and I mean, they are there 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day, if not more than that. The issue still continues, but we're seeing the presence, for example, of police department, and also whenever we've had meetings with our business owners, the police department is either the chief is there, the chief and the watch commander is there, or the watch commander and the sergeant is there that has that area. So they've been really well in working with us, but more importantly, in working with our businesses.
That's great. It's a good partnership there. Mr. Chavez, in your knowledge of the area, the ganas are there. People get creative. If something's not working, they don't give up. They look for a different ingredient. I've seen that. There's a strong entrepreneur spirit. With that said, how would you say, talking to this body here, how can the city council invest in, because none of us can afford more empty buildings. That's going to hurt all of us.
Right.
So what would you say, how can local government invest in helping out here?
And I think the question that Councilmember Rocha had in regards to looking at rent stabilization on the commercial side, I don't know if that's the question, but at least the exploration of that. I know that San Francisco is looking at that. Oakland is looking at some of that stuff, but and I don't know if that's the answer, but I think that at least having those conversations to look at something, because there is very few protections for a lot of our business owners. Unfortunately, a lot of the business owners in the LSL are not the property owners for the most part. There are a number that are, however, many of them aren't, and some of the ones that aren't from the area in particular are the ones where we're having the raising of the rent. Not so much when we have a property owner that's from Salinas or from Monterey County. It doesn't happen quite often, but it's really those landlords that are from out of the area where we start seeing those rents being raised.
Yes.
I think that is key, but I think really the other thing, I think the investment, I really think is the broadband investment, and I really think the facade improvement, the public art investment in the area will be a huge thing for not only for the Suba area, but all of the LSL.
Yeah. Just one last question. What you know, what you've seen, what you've learned from small business there, as it's progressing, what do you see happening? I know there's one business that's, I think it's El Volcán. I know they've been working on the building for quite some time. So do you see that happening is it stagnant or?
That building, or what are we talking about?
Well, it sounds exciting when somebody's opening up a new business. But here this whole building is being transformed, I guess, into a restaurant, but it's been like that for quite some time. Do you see anything happening as far as businesses being able to work? You mentioned income taxes. The restaurants, would you say, are doing well?
I think, so I would say that it depends on the restaurant. It really does. I think some restaurants are doing really, really well. And then you've seen some that have closed this past year, where you've seen now a supermarket's going to come in or a mercado is going to come in. So it just depends on which area you're talking about and which ones they are. It all depends on parking. It all depends on just a number of things. But overall, restaurants are doing okay. They might not be doing great, but they're doing okay overall. They're not doing bad by any means.
Yeah.
At least from the information we've gathered.
Yeah.
And it's all anecdotal.
Thank you.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yeah, thank you. Alejandro, can you talk a little bit, again on the relationship you have with the city's business navigator and some of the things that maybe make it easier for you, or how do you work with the business navigator? Can you just speak to that, please?
Sure, no problem. So we try to meet at least twice a month to go over some of the stuff that we're doing as far as what outreach is happening, what workshops are happening, so that the city is aware of what is going on. Also, whenever we get stuck with any kind of issue that has to do specifically with the business, and we can't solve it ourselves, we usually will go directly to the business navigators to help us out with that process, be it a permit, it could be a temporary land use permit, it could be, somebody wanting to do outdoor dining, whatever it may be. If we get stuck, we'll immediately go to the business navigator to get some assistance through that process. So that has been good. And like I said, that's why I believe an investment in that area should continue. And if it can grow, that would be great for all of the businesses, not just in our area, but for all of Salinas.
I've always liked Councilmember Barrera's approach is wanting to have an honest conversation, right? Recently I went to go meet with a lot of different businesses in the LSL, and there was this kind of question that kept on coming up in a lot of different businesses, and it's like, I guess the translation would be, well, what's the city currently doing to support us as small businesses? Is there some business owners that may ask that, wonder that?
They do. I mean, all the time. And when you struggle is when you start asking that question.
Oh, sure, of course.
And they're struggling this year. I mean, this year, I mean, if you talk to, even the insurance brokers, if you talk to the retailers, I mean, they will tell you, is there anything else that the city can do? One thing that happened during the pandemic is there was a lot of grants that came from the state. There was a lot of grants that came from the federal government. There was a lot of grants that came. And so the question to me all the time, hey, Alejandro, ¿no hay otra beca? Hey, Alejandro, ¿no hay otra subvención? ¿No hay otra ayuda? ¿No hay algo que nos puede ayudar? Is there anything else that can help us? Is there another grant? Is there anything else out there that can help us out? What I can tell you is that we are partnering with an organization out of the Bay Area. We will be doing a workshop on the 26th of August with them. And it's not free money. It's not grants, but they are microloans. And so we're bringing this organization to do a workshop with us to talk about microloans. Those microloans are from $5,000 to $50,000. The interest rate, it's not low, but it's not high. We're talking 7% to 8%, which, well, if you go into to get a business loan, you'll see that it's a little higher than that. So that's what we're bringing to try to see how we can assist. So I've already had about 5 inquiries because we started posting a little bit that we're going to be having this. And I can tell you one in particular is looking to see if they can add new equipment to their business, because their equipment is, I think, about 7 or 8 years old, and part of it is starting to get a little beat up because it's used on a daily basis, and so that's something that they're interested in taking a look at. So we're doing our best to try to find any kind of resource out there, and this is one of those.
And the reason I'm asking you this is because obviously this is the annual report, and I want to know, because obviously I'm hearing directly from them. I'm a council member that represents
a lot of them.
A lot of them. Mm-hmm. And so my question is, again, just being very direct. While a loan is great from an agency in the Bay Area, it's a loan.
Yeah.
They probably already have a loan or two from what they got from COVID. The rent is going up.
Yeah.
Their consumers are paying lots of money for the rent, more than the 30%. So again, I mean, what, in your opinion, and I just want to hear this from you because you've been in that area for a really long time. What do you think? I mean, again, murals are great. There's a couple people probably going to drive by and want to look at them. That's awesome. The artwork is going to be somewhere where also people can go there and congregate. But again, that's not ensuring that anybody's going to spend anything with these merchants there.
Yeah.
I can't remember if this is top 3 of biggest places where we get retail sales taxes. I don't know where we lie again in that area.
3 or 4.
Number 4, okay.
3 or 4.
3 to 4. Depends on what time of the year it is. But what can the city of Salinas do more that's gonna be able to help these folks? Because paying, $8,000, and I'm probably sure that that's somewhere in the swap meet or El Mercado de Alizal. You don't have to agree, but I know the area. What can the city do?
I mean, honestly, the marketing grants that happened this past year and the year before, those are helpful. I think any kind of grant that's available to these businesses is going to be hugely helpful for them to get through. There's a transition happening right now. And what I mentioned at the beginning, there is some kind of transition happening. Part of it is we have an economy of H-2A workers versus the farm workers that lived here. Most of those farm workers have gotten a little older, and some of them have either moved from the area because of the cost of living or are no longer working in that industry and are not shopping in that area. I think that transition is definitely being seen. And I think the other one is really trying to figure out how can we bring in tourists into the area. And part of it is, unfortunately, to make it look cleaner, to make it safer, feel safer, and to message out there that it is safe. And I think that's part of the challenge.
So, in your opinion, top 3 places where we collect sales taxes from, do you think that the city could do a better job of investing into organizations like SUBA?
Of course. I think that a simple one, the broadband is an issue automatically. If you have a retail store that has to turn off their cameras so that they can have their cash register on, that's an issue.
It is. I have no further questions for you, Alejandro, but just one question for our city manager. City manager, do you have any plans to meet with, I think you were saying something about maybe meeting with the different business organizations. Can you elaborate or can you speak to that a little bit, please?
Yeah, I can. To the Vice Mayor and Council, I've talked to a few of you, and I know Councilmember Valenzuela mentioned as well. I think one of the things I want to work with staff is setting up a meeting with our business focus agencies and partners to kind of bring everybody in and kind of this strategize how we can, what can the city do? What can we do collectively together? I think, we have Chamber, we have SUBA, we have Salinas City Center, we have the Welcome Center, we have a bunch of organizations and the city with the same goals, right? So how do we streamline? How do we work together? And actually that would help us in our agreements, that will help us in our relationships, that will help us in our partnerships, and that would help staff be able to respond collectively better with the sort of a city vision, and it exists. I just think it's a time to sort of bring everybody together. So part of it is the challenge of trying to see what, working with the schedules and how we need a little lead time to get it all set up. There will probably be a little bit of surveying, some working with Lisa and her team. They have a lot of information. They're out there a lot with their navigators and stuff. And then just kind of seeing how we can bring it together and then work with the different partners and kind of doing some initial sort of survey work with them. And then actually talking to then bringing the council in and the different boards, because there's a lot of boards that are kind of with the same vision. And I also think we kind of look at, some other agencies that we don't kind of look at is our school districts. If you think about kind of what the power of what they're doing in Hartnell and stuff, they're also impacting kind of our business and our economy. So, but that's not initially maybe that's not who we reach out to first, but they need to be a part of the conversation. Hartnell, for example, is very robust in this area and trying to do a lot of things. I don't repeat Alejandro, but his wife was a big portion, a big contributor of that. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to bring it together and to kind of solidify sort of a Salinas City vision with our partners. So more to come on that, but I'm thinking probably within the next month and a half or so, we'll be bringing some more information to you.
Thank you, City Manager. No further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. My initial question is for the Finance Department. I know, we heard, or maybe Alejandro has this number, but we heard about being either the top 3 or the top 4 in tax revenue. Do we have an idea of what kind of revenue the LSL generates?
So I thank you for the question, Council Member. I don't have those figures, and I'm thinking about how we could, if the reporting would allow for that type of information. So I'll need to look into that a little bit more, because we do receive reports, but it's mainly based on businesses. But I'm sure we can probably put something together if we know those business names.
Yeah, I think that kind of data would be important because, I grew up in the LSL as well. As some of the, growing up in the pulgas, we used to call it the Skyview Flea Market, where most people don't know ever existed. Or we were also part of the first tenants of the indoor swap meet. I later opened a business in El Mercadito de Alizal. And so I know the amount of tax revenue that has been generating for years and years and years. And one of the reasons I think it'd be important for the council to see that is because I would be interested in seeing proportionally how much investment that area has had to how much tax revenue they've had. I think the concept of SUBA has been, formulated a long time ago, but currently we assess the businesses in that area. But there's a lot of small businesses who maybe have a cleaning business or something they don't even do business in the LSL. And if we look at that Salinas City Improvement District, who assesses, I say tax, but it's an assessment of the property, I almost guarantee you they collect all their fees. Because there's serious repercussions. And I'm glad that the city council or SUBA or whoever made that decision not to harm the businesses for the people who don't pay it. But I don't know if that discussion has ever happened before, where maybe it's an assessment of the actual property owners as opposed to the businesses. It does hurt to hear that they're struggling. Like I said, that was always a place people would fight for space. And so it does hurt to hear that. And I wanted to ask, Alejandro, what kind of impact do you think the ADA lawsuits that were being filed or the threats, can you speak a little bit about how much that cost businesses and how many businesses were affected by that?
There was a lot of business that were affected by the ADA lawsuits. I think I lost count at when we hit 19. It kind of moved into other areas, more so than in our area, but there was 19 businesses in our area that got hit. All of them made the corrections. Before some of them were hit with the ADA lawsuit, we did go to those businesses that, what we noticed in the pattern that was happening was that the businesses that were getting hit by the ADA lawsuits had a parking lot with either disability, with the parking that was the disabled parking that wasn't painted correctly. And so we went to every single one. We did kind of looked around to see every business that had a parking lot, and we went to all of them first and gave them a list of folks that could do CASP assessments for them. Gave them a list of a couple of different CASP members in Northern California that agreed to do it for a 25% cost less than what they normally charge if they did it, during a certain time period. 7 businesses took the offer and did it, and out of those 7 businesses, none of them were hit with a lawsuit because they fixed their they made the corrections that were necessary as far as the height of their their counters, the widths of the aisles, the parking lot, the doors, the bathrooms, the restrooms. So, but it was quite a bit of money. I think that, you're well aware of the ADA lawsuits, and I think that most of the businesses were hit between $7,000 to about $17,000. That was about what the cost was, with it did not limit them from being hit again with a lawsuit. That was the lawsuit that they agreed to and to get rid of that particular lawsuit. So it was anywhere from $7,000 to $17,000. I think some of the businesses that weren't in the Suba area, I think a couple of them were a little higher than that.
Yeah, and I'm sure that was detrimental to a lot of folks. Is that something you're actively checking on with them?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've done, I don't know if you've noticed, but some of the parking lots have been resurfaced. A lot of them have been resurfaced, in part because we're trying to get them to and encourage them to get the ADA compliance and to have everything painted and done correctly with the signage. Yeah.
Yeah, with the recent death of the young boy, I just happened to be in the area yesterday, and I was eating at a restaurant, and I'm not sure if it was the owner or the manager, said that their number one request, at least from that restaurant, was more traffic enforcement. How have you, or what opportunities have you seen to collaborate with the police on possibly more enforcement for that area?
What I can tell you is that the police has definitely been there a little more this week. I could see the presence have been there quite more. But I think one of the things through the LSL Vibrancy Plan and also through the grant that the city received from Caltrans, one of those pieces were the crosswalks in certain areas. And when you look at Wood Street, I know that is one of the areas that we're looking at because of the school down the street. And I think the other one is where the WIC building is. The problem with the one with the WIC is that it has a slight, there's a kind of a bump there and it's kind of high. And so I know that engineering has been talking about maybe not doing anything there, but so many folks cross that street right there where Pearl Street is because that's where the WIC building is. So that needs to be addressed, I think. And I think the other thing is an education on speeding. If you see the cars on Market Street, they are not going 35 miles an hour, I promise you that. And the same thing happens on LSL Street. So the timing of the lights, I think, is something that could be taken a look at. And then also, just being a little more brighter, I think is crucial, and making certain that the crosswalks are painted.
Well, I think that it would be great to bring some of these items back to the council. As we know, I mean, the LSL has contributed so much to our tax base, and I'm sure when we see those reports, we're going to see that there hasn't been proportional investment. As the LSL Vibrancy Plan was developed and created, I remember sitting in on those meetings, and there, I think Lisa was there, and the crosswalks, I mean, that was a discussion that long ago. So,
yeah,
safe pathways to school, and I hope that this council this next year really takes we take it seriously, but I hope we make more of an intentional effort to fund some of those important necessary things. So thank you very much.
And if I could add just one thing, Councilmember Sandoval, is that HDL did provide reports specifically with the areas. We have not seen those reports this year or the year before.
Okay, maybe we can get that.
Yeah, they can be generated by geo. So you define the geographic area and you can get the amount. And that's okay because it's illegal to share the specific data information by business, or let's just say you have 3 businesses, you couldn't share it because there's 3 businesses. But if it's a large area, you can share the aggregate. So I'll work with their finance director. We should be able to get that data.
Okay. Thank you very much. And with that, we need a motion to approve, right? Let's go to public comment. Yes. Is there any public comment on this item? Welcome.
David Masonev again. Councilman Valenzuela has the right idea. In another topic, he was talking about financial education. Financial education is not just for home use, it's for business use as well. And I think that's it's one thing to say, hey, here's a loan, but it's another thing to say, here's a loan and here's how to use it. So I think that's an awesome idea. Thanks.
Name's Eric Peterson, and
I kept thinking what Alejandro was saying about restaurants, because in past lives, I've worked in restaurants, I've managed restaurants, and then I was trying to collect taxes from some restaurants. And it's really tough to run a good restaurant. It's easy to run a sleazy restaurant and go out of business the next day and lose a pile of money, but to run a good restaurant is very, very difficult. And I'm amazed at some of the restaurants we've got in this area that have been in business for 20 or 30 years or more. And they're doing, whatever they're doing right. But I've seen signs from time to time about buying local, some sort of campaign to advocate for people to eat in our locally owned restaurants, not the big chains, but the locally owned restaurants would be helpful, because, as I say, it's tough. And the other thing is, as you know, I use this thing, unfortunately, and hobbling across the street. I mean, talk about traffic. One night, it was still light. Some years back, before I was using this thing, I almost got hit in a crosswalk by a police sergeant. And it wasn't malicious or anything. We got along after that. It wasn't a problem. But that's the kind of thing. Traffic is, I guess the fair term would be out of control here. We could turn the entire police department into a traffic unit and still not have enough officers. And I know that's absurd, but that's what we need. And I don't think we're going to be able to get a grip on it until drivers decide they're going to drive safely. Thank you.
All right, we'll go to Zoom for any public comments on Zoom. No. All right. Seeing none, we'll go ahead for final comments. Councilmember Valenzuela.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The longer that I'm on council, the more I'm seeing how interconnected everything is. So thank you, first and foremost, Alejandro, for this report. It was a great discussion, one that started out with figuring out how we can support businesses more, that also evolved into different strategies that may not be directly business related, right? And so traffic calming is definitely something that I feel will support that district. I went on vacation a few months ago, and I was in La Quinta, and it is so easy to cross the streets there, right? Everything's so walkable. And so how do we create that for our Alisal? Salinas in general has some of the best food around, so we have to support these small businesses, the small restaurants. And especially, I'm going to put a lot of emphasis on this. We got to do it quickly, the small retailers, as online shopping becomes a bigger deal. Right? How do we make sure that the small mom and pop shops can continue to operate? So I'm going to go ahead and move to make a motion to approve this report. Renee, let's figure out what we can do. With the Salinas City Center Association, we talked about a charrette, something where we get the business owners and that association. Maybe we could do something very similar with Zuba. Maybe we could do something citywide to see how it is that we as a city can support our small businesses. So, thank you.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Valenzuela, seconded by Councilmember Barrera. Councilmember Rocha.
Thank you for your report, and thank you to Crystal Casillas for all of your work. Very supportive of whatever we could do to provide assistance to our local businesses, and happy to support whatever direction the city manager wants to take us in as well. Thank you.
Councilmember Barrera.
Thank you. Boy, I got to get used to this. I'm looking forward to that broadband. Should be exciting. Mr. Chavez, gracias. It takes a lot of patience working in this environment, and there's a lot of great people out there. You know what I really love about the Alisal? These folks will tell you, we don't really have time for meetings. We got to get to work, but they put their trust in us to do the right thing, to support them. And it does hurt me because I have not heard for a long time that now we're having vacant buildings. And that just shows how people are doing business nowadays. I mean, it's going to impact all of us, but if there's anything that this council can do on being able to remedy certain things to support, I like how you're talking about these loans, low-interest loans. Hopefully, things will start improving. Thank you.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yeah, thank you for the report, and just I want to be clear. I'm not underestimating the positive impact that LSI Vibrancy Plan will make, and even getting the results back from the district identity. I think it's going to be very intentional, obviously, of the area and the people. I just know that we have to do something. We have to do something more. I feel that not just only in the LSL, but obviously because we're talking about Suba, but there's even been businesses here in the downtown that are threatening closing the doors. Multiple that I know in the last 3 to 4 years that have opened. Just seeing, I'm looking forward to the city manager really meeting with organizations like Suba, like the Pacro CDC, like the Salinas Valley Chamber, MCBC, and any other organization that can assist not just Suba, but the entire, right? Because they're a lot stronger when they work together. And I think that I'm looking forward to a report back from our city manager and see kind of what direction he would like to take. I know I'll be supportive of it. But I would also, in that report when we get back, if there is any type of, while the business navigator and the support that it's providing Suba, I'm not sure if there's any direct contributions that the city has made in the past to Suba. I don't know if there's been like a line item for Suba in the past. I want to say there has been, but there isn't now. There should be. But I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up. So, city manager, I look forward to your report, and I have total confidence that we're going to have something that's going to be taking Suba in the right direction. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. For me, I recognize the amount of work that Crystal has done and Alejandro has done to support those businesses. I would like to see the data in the future on those sales tax numbers, because just like we have made historic investments in the LSL and the LSL Vibrancy Plan, I think there may be, I think we all see that there's a need to make that investment to support those businesses who have generated so much tax revenue for so many years. So I want to commend all of your work. Thank you to our staff. And like I said, like Councilmember Osornio said, we look forward to the future report and some possible solutions. City Attorney, would you mind clarifying the motion, just so we can be clear?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So just to be clear, this is a motion to approve a resolution, approving a resolution of intention to set a public hearing for September 24th for the actual levy of the assessments.
My apologies for that.
No, thank you. Second, okay. All right, City Clerk, call for the vote.
Motion made by Councilmember Valenzuela, second by Councilmember Barrera. Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Rocha?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Yes.
Sorry about that. Mayor Pro Tem Sandoval? Councilmember Valenzuela?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, City Clerk. And with that, on Councilmember Barrera's request, I'd like to request a moment of silence in honor of the young boy who lost his life and the father who sustained injuries and all those involved. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.